the maximum level expert. She thrives in interstellar riches. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 176. Let's Fight 2. Wen Jiu always treated beautiful women with special favor, so she pretended to be innocent and responded, "Okay, big sister, can I go to the kitchen to play the cooking game?" Her sudden cute repetition made Ziziu purse her lips to prevent herself from laughing. Yan Jingcheng and David, who were next to him, did not show any abnormality, but the two married people with children sighed in their hearts. It turns out that daughters are still good, cute and well behaved. Who doesn't want a daughter like Wen Jiu? Of course. Liu Ziyang took Wen Jiu's little hand and took her to the kitchen. This scene made Wen Jiu, who was standing at the back, even more unhappy. He wanted to throw this little girl out of the Fister restaurant, and the other party humiliated him, but he didn't expect that even Liu Ziyang would help the other party. Thinking of this, Wen Jiu's face became more gloomy. Seeing Liu Ziyang pulling Wen Jiu into the kitchen, Ziziu and others hurriedly followed. Especially Yang Jingcheng and David wore odd. They were afraid that Liu Ziyang would make things difficult for Wen Jiu. However, it turned out that they thought too much. Liu Ziyang not only agreed to let Wen Jiu make the hibiscus flower again, but also specially ordered someone to help her lower the height of the workbench to make dishes more convenient for the small Wen Jiu. "Boss, you are too inconsiderate of my feelings, aren't you?" Wen Jiu saw Wen Jiu walking towards the workbench, and his resentment instantly reached its peak. Hearing him say this, Liu Ziyang changed her gentle expression and sneered, "You still know that I'm the boss? Did you consider my feelings when you were angry with the customer? When you spoke without thinking, did you think about the reputation of Fister Restaurant? Now you come to ask me if I have considered your feelings. Don't you think this is funny? Don't think I don't know that you are contacting people from other restaurants in private. Don't think about threatening me by resigning. Fister Restaurant doesn't need a chef like you. Stand here now and apologize to the little customer later." Liu Ziyang can make Fister Restaurant so successful, and management methods are indispensable. Wen Jiu thought he had done a good job in contacting outsiders, but he didn't expect that everything he did and thought was under Liu Ziyang's control. After his thoughts were exposed, he could only stand aside and suppress his anger. "Don't be angry, big sister. Look, I'll make you something delicious." Wen Jiu imitated Kyoshish's usual sweet voice and smiled sweetly at Liu Ziyang, who was lecturing someone. She could see that Liu Ziyang was actually very smart. The other party's actions seemed to be helping her vent her anger, but in fact, it was a retreat to advance to show goodwill to Ziziu, and at the same time, it suppressed Wen Jiu's arrogance. It can be said that it was a perfect operation, worthy of being a businesswoman. Seeing that Wen Jiu was giving herself a way out, Liu Ziyang instantly became gentle again and said, okay, you are still the best." Aishahara Yuriko had been wiping her sweat silently beside her, fearing that she would be implicated by Wen Jiu. Fortunately, Liu Ziyang was not the kind of person who got angry at will and did not scold her. She secretly glanced at Liu Ziyang, who had recovered her composure, and then looked at Wen Jiu, who was motionless in front of the operating table, thinking that the other party was only a teenager, not to mention whether she could make a blooming hibiscus. I'm afraid she didn't even know how to use a kitchen knife. Wen Jiu brought the red shrimp that she had washed before, and then she grabbed the live shrimp without fear and twisted the shrimp head off with a neat movement. After removing the heads of these red shrimps one by one, Wen Jiu returned to her obedient state and began to peel the shrimp shells. Her docile appearance was completely different from the posture when she had been neatly breaking the heads before, as if they were two different people. While Wen Jiu was silently peeling the shrimp shells, Liu Ziyang walked to the side of Ziziu, and she suddenly said, "Is this little princess you brought your brother's little wife?" Ziziu was speechless after hearing this, but he still replied, "No, she is my business partner." Liu Ziyang was just joking. because she saw that Wen Jiu's face was unfamiliar and young and thought she should not be Ziziu's friend. Unexpectedly, the other party actually said that the little girl was his business partner, which was a bit interesting. Don't ask more. Ziziu glanced at Liu Xiang. This woman has always been curious and ambitious. Don't let her snatch away the little genius he has finally discovered. However, his words only aroused Liu Xiang's curiosity about Wen Jiu, so she gave Ziziu a fake smile and then carefully observed Wen Jiu's operation. After peeling all the shrimp shells, he directly pulled out a shiny kitchen knife from the storage rack next to him. Then, with a wave of his hand, the shrimp meat was instantly cut off. After dealing with the excess shrimp meat, Wen Jiu patiently opened the back of the shrimp meat to remove the black shrimp thread inside. Finally, she cut 3 or 4 layers of flour cuts on the shrimp meat. 1. Each red heart shrimp was processed by her like a work of art, white and red. This scene made Liu Xiang exclaimed, "It seems that the shrimp meat is indeed more beautiful after careful processing." Aishihara Yuriko had previously sent her Wen Jiu's comments, so she naturally knew what he had said. At that time, she thought Wen Jiu was just talking casually, but she didn't expect that he really knew how to better handle the red shrimp. It seems that this little girl is really good at cooking. I wonder if she can make the hibiscus flower. You know, this dish is Wen Dahei's biggest reliance. He can work in the Fister restaurant and win the chef competition because of this hibiscus flower. The curiosity in Liu Xiang's eyes became stronger and stronger. If Wen Jiu can really make the hibiscus flower, then Ziziu should not blame her for stealing her love. Well, Sister Yuriko, Wen Jiu had just processed all the red shrimps. Can you help me find some vermicelli? After you find it, just soak it in a bowl with warm water for me. Hearing this, Aishihara Yuriko hurriedly responded and went to the warehouse to help her find vermicelli. While waiting for Aishihara Yuriko to bring the vermicelli, Wen Jiu grabbed a handful of peeled garlic and put it into the stone mortar to crush it. The kitchen of a high-end restaurant really has everything. Even things like stone mortars can be found. Wen Jiu likes to use a stone mortar to pound garlic, which makes the garlic taste stronger and more fragrant. When she was halfway through pounding, she threw in a few chilies and continued pounding. As she moved up and down, a garlic aroma mixed with spicy flavor slowly floated out. Liu Xiang was about to comment on the taste when she saw Aishihara Yuriko holding a bowl and quickly walked up to Wen Jiu. She put the bowl down and said, "Miss, can you see if this is the kind of vermicelli?" "Yes, this is it." Wen Jiu thanked her with a smile. "Thank you, Sister Yuriko." Today's second update. Thanks again to every little angel for their support. 030 PS. 1. The method of processing shrimp meat is referenced from Beidou and the innovative dish of the state banquet, green hibiscus shrimp. Chapter 177. Let's fight 3. The vermicelli had been soaked in warm water by Aishihara Yuriko, so Wen Jiu didn't care about the vermicelli anymore. She first lit the fire to heat the oil and poured the processed red shrimps into it. Because these red shrimps had been cut into pieces by her, they looked like blooming flowers after being heated and lubricated. After a short lubrication, Wen Jiu scooped out the red shrimps with a colander and set them aside. Then she poured out the waste oil and heated up the oil again. When the hot oil in the pot began to bubble, she poured all the mashed garlic into it. As soon as the mashed garlic came into contact with the hot oil, it made a crackling sound. The steam was hot with a strong garlic aroma, but if you smelled it carefully, you could smell the aroma of chili peppers. As soon as this smell came out, it instantly attracted everyone's attention, especially Liu Xiang, who had a keen sense of smell. She knew that Wen Jiu must be good at cooking as soon as she smelled the aroma. "I just don't know if he can make a blooming hibiscus. It's strange. I just ate. Now I smell this fragrance and suddenly I feel hungry again." David Warrod smacked his lips and touched his belly. Yan Jingcheng beside him nodded and agreed. "Me too. I just drank a whole bowl of chicken soup." Ziziu, who was still observing Wen Jiu, did not say anything, but her phoenix eyes were full of interest. "It's just a trifle." Wen Dahei was still muttering stubbornly, "If she really has the ability, she can make the hibiscus flower I made." He thought his muttering was very quiet, but he didn't expect that Wen Jiu, who had a keen hearing, still heard it. However, Wen Jiu was too lazy to pay attention to the other party now. She just silently used a spatula to quickly stir the mashed garlic in the pot. Estimating that the heat was about right, she began to season it with salt, pepper, MSG and sesame oil in turn. Finally, she stir-fried it a few more times before Wen Jiu turned off the flame. At this time, the vermicelli was almost softened. She picked up the plate and first placed the washed baby cabbage at the bottom, and then placed the softened vermicelli on top. After finishing the side dishes, Wen Jiu placed the red shrimp on the top. Her hands were very fast, and soon they were arranged in a circle of flowers. After arranging all the ingredients on the plate, Wen Jiu evenly poured the fried garlic paste on top. The last step was steaming. After adjusting the temperature of the steamer, Wen Jiu put the plate of hibiscus flowers she made into it. When Dahe saw all of this, he was still arrogant and dissatisfied, but as Wen Jiu operated step by step, he gradually became a little panicked. Wen Dahe, I remember that the steps you used to make hibiscus flowers seem to be these. As the owner of the Pfister restaurant, Liu Xiaohang naturally knew her chefs very well. Every chef she recruited demonstrated the cooking methods of his specialties in front of her to show his loyalty. However, Liu Xiaohang is still very moral. She will not secretly memorize these cooking steps and then teach them to others. She just wants to understand the other party's skills. Now that she sees Wen Jiu's cooking steps, she immediately finds that her steps are not much different from Wen Dahe's. It's just that Wen Jiu's processing is more meticulous, and his control over the heat is also higher. No. Wen Dahe still wants to continue to be stubborn. He absolutely cannot admit that Wen Jiu's method is almost the same as his. Otherwise, he will definitely be kicked out of the Pfister restaurant. Moreover, this dish is his greatest reliance. If others know that his recipe has been cracked, he will be fired, and I'm afraid that he will not even be able to find a new job. Ziziu is very vindictive. He still remembers the chef's disgusting face. It seems that Miss Liu should really improve her cooking skills. My little girl is right. This chef's skills are really not that good. Wen Dahe was about to refute when he heard Liu Xiaohang say, I'm sorry to make you laugh. I won't count the cost of the dish of hibiscus blooming when you pay the bill later. I hope Mr. Z will be careful in what he says and does when he goes back. In fact, Liu Xiaohang said this not to defend Wen Dahe, but to defend the reputation of the Pfister restaurant. She took over the Pfister restaurant from her family with great difficulty and successfully turned the Pfister restaurant into the only 6-star restaurant on planet 3047. If Ziziu goes back and tells others about her lax discipline of the servants, I'm afraid that on the one hand, it will affect the reputation of the Pfister restaurant. On the other hand, those annoying brothers and sisters at home will definitely take the opportunity to blacken her in front of her father and then find ways to divide up her property. So Liu Xiaohang must prevent this from happening. Don't worry, Miss Liu. Ziziu raised the corner of her lips. I'm not someone who likes to mess around. The Liu family is a big family that can be compared with the Z family. Business dealings between their families are very common. The Z family is relatively harmonious because Z's father has only 2 sons, Ziziu and Zqingyu. The other collateral branches are very loyal to Z's father, so the Z family doesn't have many troubles. But the Liu family is different. Liu's father has many little lovers outside and often brings back illegitimate children. He also said that his heirs have experienced a lot and struggled a lot. So from the fact that Liu Xiaohang can stand out from many children and gain real power, we can see how powerful her skills are. That's good. Liu Xiaohang kept a fake smile, but her eyes were full of curiosity about Wen Jiu. After feeling Liu Xiaohang's gaze, Wen Jiu just smiled obediently. It doesn't take long to steam the blooming hibiscus, so it was steamed soon. Wen Jiu used a towel to block the heat, lifted the steamer, and brought out the hibiscus dish she made. Unlike the hibiscus dish made by Wen Dahe, the hibiscus dish made by Wen Jiu was so delicious that it made people salivate. Everyone stepped forward to look at the hibiscus dish, and only then did they truly understand what hibiscus dish meant. The pink shrimps were spread on the slightly transparent vermicelli, looking like a hibiscus in full bloom. After soaking, The baby cabbage at the bottom was slightly yellowed in the emerald green with a green leaf flavor. A layer of yellow and red garlic paste was poured on the top, which looked like the stamens of a hibiscus. This dish looks delicious at first glance. David Warrod really couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. This hibiscus dish was much more beautiful than the one that was served on the table earlier. Don't say so much, let me try it and you'll know. Liu Xiaohang hurriedly pulled out a pair of chopsticks and looked eager to try. Seeing this, Wen Jiu smiled and said, "Big sister, please try it. I'm hungry too." Upon hearing this, Liu Xiaohang quickly handed the chopsticks in her hand to Wen Jiu and asked Aishahara Yuriko to draw another pair of chopsticks for her. Ziziu and others beside him also looked expectant, and each of them took a pair of chopsticks and prepared to eat. Only Wen Dahaya looked sad and angry. He only took a look at the flower blossoming hibiscus made by Wen Jiu, and he knew that he had lost. And he lost completely. Chapter 178 Losing a Million Won. Liu Xiaohang pushed aside Ziziu, who was also eager to eat, and took the lead to pick up a pink shrimp. The shrimp fried in oil was slightly crispy on the outside, but the elasticity and tenderness inside were not affected at all. The fried garlic was steamed, and because Wen Jiu cut the shrimp, it was more flavorful, and the full garlic aroma was integrated into the sweet shrimp. Moreover, she specially chose peanut oil to fry the garlic, so the garlic aroma was more intense but not pungent. The mellow garlic aroma and the sweetness of the shrimp were perfectly integrated during chewing, and there was a hint of spicy flavor flowing on the tip of the tongue. This rich layering and flavor are completely incomparable to the flower blossoming hibiscus made by Wen Dahaya. Ziziu tasted this flower blossoming hibiscus right after Liu Xiaohang started. The first thing he felt was the salty and fragrant garlic juice, and the slightly spicy taste spread between the lips and teeth as soon as it entered the mouth. Then he bit the pink shrimp in his mouth with his teeth. The outer layer was crispy and strong after being fried, with the aroma of oil, but not greasy at all. The shrimp inside was elastic, soft, and tender, and had a strong seafood flavor. This was mainly because Wen Jiu handled the shrimp very cleanly, so when Ziziu ate it, he could only taste the freshness of the shrimp, without the slight fishy smell caused by the shrimp thread. The fresh and spicy garlic was not too abrupt, but instead set off the original sweetness of the red shrimp. Although he ate politely, he was not slow at all. Liu Xiaohang next to him was even faster. She stuffed the shrimp into her mouth one by one, for fear of falling behind Ziziu. David Huarad and Yan Jingcheng were a little entangled by this scene. Neither of them knew whether they should go forward to fight for the shrimp. In the short time that the two of them were struggling, the dozen shrimps on the plate were all divided up by Ziziu and Liu Xiaohang, leaving only vermicelli and baby cabbage as side dishes. "Little friend, your red shrimp is really delicious." Liu Xiaohang stopped eating when she saw that there were only side dishes left on the plate. The freshness of the shrimp itself is preserved, and the unique flavor of garlic is added. After finishing the shrimps, Ziziu narrowed his eyes with satisfaction and rarely showed his sincere smile and said, "It's really delicious." David Hualuo and Yan Jingcheng next to them looked at each other. Both of them looked helpless. Who doesn't know that this shrimp is delicious? Leave a shrimp for them to taste. Wen Jiu first humbly accepted their praise, and then she took out a few empty bowls and divided the remaining side dishes on the plate equally. David Hualuo and Yan Jingcheng next to them didn't want to miss the opportunity to taste it again this time, so they tacitly took a bowl each and left. After tasting the shrimp, Ziziu and Liu Xiaohang didn't want to continue eating the side dishes, but when they saw that the two were eating with gusto, they didn't say that they didn't want to eat the side dishes, but just picked up a bowl and continued to taste. There were still 2 bowls left after Wen Jiu's distribution. She first picked up a bowl and handed it to Aishahara Yuriko, saying, "Sister Yuriko, you have worked hard." Seeing this, Aishahara Yuriko, who was swallowing her saliva silently, quickly took the bowl and said, "You're welcome." As early as when this flower hibiscus came out of the pot, she was greedy. But because her boss was still here, she didn't dare to show that she wanted to taste it. Now when Jiu took the initiative to send her a bowl of side dishes. Although she couldn't eat the pink and delicious shrimp, it was also good to try the vermicelli and baby cabbage. So Aishihara Yuriko first picked up a mouthful of crystal clear vermicelli. She thought that the vermicelli would taste bland. As a result, after eating, the soft vermicelli was slightly chewy and soaked with spicy garlic juice. The smell of garlic and chili swept over at the same time, and she felt as if she was caught in a wave of rich and fragrant fragrance, floating up and down, and unable to find a place to settle, and could only let this fragrance violently invade her taste buds. After tasting it carefully, after the spicy smell faded, there was actually a hint of sweetness from the shrimp. Aishihara Yuriko estimated that this hint of sweetness should be caused by the shrimp placed on the vermicelli and steamed, which gave her a full sense of surprise. Then she picked up a piece of baby cabbage and bit it. The leaves of the baby cabbage were steamed almost soft and rotten, and it could be said that it melted in the mouth. As she ate further, the juice near the root became more and more full. The crisp taste, coupled with the sweet vegetable juice and the faint garlic fragrance that kept wafting, made Aishihara Yuriko feel for the first time that vegetables could be so delicious. "Chef Wen, do you want to try it?" Wen Jiu walked to Wen Dahei with the bowl and chopsticks. She didn't come to humiliate him, but just wanted to let him know that he shouldn't think too highly of himself. Even a confident person like her can calmly accept the opinions of others. For example, when she made chestnut cake for Yuruman before, she preferred a sweeter taste. So after Yuruman gave her some suggestions for adjustment, when she made chestnut cake again, she would try to adjust the sweetness until she was satisfied. Wen Dahei didn't know how he took the bowl and chopsticks, but when he came to his senses, the little girl had already walked back to the operating table. His boss and his guests were now surrounding him, admiring his superb cooking skills. He didn't understand why his family's unique recipe could be easily cooked by him, and it was better than his. Thinking of this, Wen Dahei picked up a chopstick of vermicelli with trembling hands. He was in a very complicated mood now. Half of him was wondering if the hibiscus cooked by the other party would only look beautiful but taste average. The other half was constantly grieving, admitting that the other's skills were more superb before tasting. With this entanglement in mind, he slowly took a mouthful of vermicelli. The crystal clear vermicelli was just the right softness, not too soft and rotten, nor too dry and hard. The unique aroma of garlic and the sweetness of the red shrimp were intertwined in the vermicelli, and this bite alone was enough to make people feel amazing. Eating another piece of baby cabbage covered with soup, the sweetness and tenderness of the vegetables were brought to the extreme. Even if it was stained with garlic and spicy taste, it could not cover up the sweetness and deliciousness of the baby cabbage itself. Without tasting it anymore, Wen Dahei knew that he had lost. The hibiscus he made was completely incomparable to that made by the little girl. If the hibiscus made by the two people were evaluated together, he would be considered to have benefited from the other person. Thinking about his previous arrogant words, he really wanted to turn around and scold himself. Are you sick? You have such a god, but you don't wait to learn from him, but you have to make him angry. Today's first update. Recently, the appearance of the thank you list in the words has been reduced. The author uniformly thanks every little angel for their support. Thank you everyone 030. At the same time, the appearance of nagging has been reduced, but the author will find a way to put the thank you list, and then it will avoid affecting the readers who listen to the book. The specific solution will be considered by the author again. Chapter 179 Losing a Million Too. After admitting his defeat, Wen Dahei pursed his lips and walked to the operating table where Wen Jiu was. Seeing him coming, Zizou and others immediately made way for him. After all, anyone with a discerning eye could see that he was not looking for trouble. "Miss, I apologize for my previous remarks." Wen Dahei bowed deeply to Wen Jiu, but the other party did not respond to him. So he continued, "I'm really sorry. You made me understand that there are always people better than you. I should not be arrogant and look down on others, nor should I speak wildly to you. If you feel that this matter cannot be resolved, I can take the initiative to resign from the position of Fister Restaurant to reduce your anger." He spoke sincerely for a long time, but Wen Jiu just stared at him with an ambiguous smile. After he finally stopped talking, Wen Jiu slowly spoke, "It's good to admit your mistakes and correct them, but there's no need to threaten others to accept your apology, right? I know you are a very valued chef here, and I don't mean to ask you to resign. I argued with you for a long time before. Actually, I just wanted to tell you that your cooking skills are really not good. What I mean is, there is no need for moral kidnapping. It's enough for you to know that you are not good enough. Go back and work hard to improve your skills. As for whether I accept your apology, that's my business. Wen Jiu's attitude of admitting his mistakes is quite sincere, but he still likes to use conditions to threaten people in essence. For example, before, when Ziziu helped Wen Jiu speak, he thought of threatening the other party by not cooking anymore. Now that he sees that Wen Jiu doesn't want to accept his apology, he moved out of his resignation to force the other party to accept his apology. As the saying goes, it is the person who makes the mistake to apologize or not. But whether to accept the apology is the offended person's business. Why do you ask others to accept an apology? Since the matter has been settled, let's go back first. When Jiu walked to Ziziu, I still have to go back to the college to study independently. The final exam is coming soon. Hearing this, Ziziu raised his glasses and said, okay, I'll take you back. Everyone knows that Wen Jiu can't really leave the Fister restaurant. You know, it's very difficult to find a chef who can cook ancient Chinese dishes now. Liu Ziyang searched all over planet 3047 and several other low-level planets before finding 3 or 4 chefs who can cook real ancient Chinese dishes. For this reason, she not only offered super high salaries, but also signed very strict contracts with them to prevent the other party from being poached and changing jobs. Although Liu Ziyang had said before that she wanted Wen Jiu to leave, she was just trying to appease Ziziu and Wen Jiu at that time. She didn't really mean to dismiss Wen Jiu. After all, she couldn't find a new chef to replace him for the time being. Therefore, even if she knew that Wen Jiu had privately contacted the management of other restaurants, she could only rely on the contract to hold back for the time being. But now Liu Ziyang found that the dishes made by Wen Jiu were very delicious, and her eyes lit up like a hungry wolf seeing food. Wait a minute. Seeing that Ziziu was about to take her good baby away, she quickly grabbed the hood of Wen Jiu's school uniform. Because of her excessive strength, she was lifted up like a carrot. Wen Jiu suddenly felt that his feet were in the air and hurriedly shouted, "Big sister, put me down." This act of pulling a carrot is not very harmful but extremely insulting. Liu Ziyang reacted immediately, and she quickly put Wen Jiu on the ground. At the same time, she also apologized for her impoliteness. "Sorry little baby, I didn't control my strength just now." "Why did you pull her?" Ziziu squinted and looked at Liu Ziyang like a fox, always feeling that this woman had bad intentions. "Oh, I like her too much." Liu Ziyang calmly pulled Wen Jiu to her side. "Little darling, can big sister chat with you alone for a while?" Hearing this, Ziziu felt something was wrong, so he quickly pulled Wen Jiu back. "Liu Ziyang, don't try this. Didn't you hear Miss Wen say she was going back? Oh, so your last name is Wen?" Liu Ziyang completely ignored Ziziu's meaning and only talked to Wen Jiu. "Then Miss Wen, can you give me some time to chat?" Before Wen Jiu could say anything, Ziziu immediately said, "She doesn't have time to chat with you. We are going back." The two of them sandwiched Wen Jiu in the middle, making her feel like a Noria cookie. She was pulled away by Ziziu on the left, and then pulled back by Liu Ziyang on the right. The actions of these two people made her speechless. Alright. Why are you adults so childish? What's the point of pulling and tugging? Wen Jiu finally couldn't bear it anymore and exploded. She pushed the two away and said angrily, "You take Mr. Hualuo and teacher Yan to wait for me outside." After giving the order to Ziziu, she said to Liu Ziyang, "You tell me what you want to talk to me about. Don't delay me from going back to the academy to study." Ziziu and Liu Ziyang, who were used to being superior, were stunned by her yelling. The two unconsciously followed her orders. Ziziu took David Hualuo and Yan Jingcheng out of the kitchen, and Aisha Yuriko and Wen Jiu next to them also left here consciously. It left Wen Jiu and Liu Ziyang with a private enough chat environment. "Come on, big sister, what do you want to talk to me about?" Everyone who should leave has left, and Wen Jiu casually fiddled with her hair, but didn't notice that she accidentally revealed her pointed ears that were different from ordinary people. However, her short hair quickly fell down and covered her pointed ears again, but this difference was caught by Liu Xiaoying. But Liu Xiaoying did not ask anything, she just lowered her eyes to hide the surprise in her eyes. Since the other party asked first, she smiled and said, "Miss Wen, where did you learn to cook hibiscus? If possible, can you sell the recipe to your sister?" "Well, it's a secret." Wen Jiu blinked cunningly. "As for the recipe, if I sell it to you, won't I be able to cook this dish again in the future?" In fact, Liu Xiaoying did not expect Wen Jiu to tell her the answer to the first question. After all, there are too few complete ancient Chinese recipes left now. She estimated that Wen Jiu should have learned it from family inheritance like Wen Dahei. Logically speaking, if you sell the recipe to me, you naturally can't teach others or cook it yourself. But I'm a very good talker, so I can accept your own private non-profit cooking, but you can't teach the recipe to others. Chapter 180 Losing a Million 3. Wen Jiu heard this and thought that people in the Interstellar era were so strange. Why do you have to buy out a recipe? Although she knew that the ancient Chinese recipes preserved in the Interstellar era were very rare, it shouldn't be like this, right? Then how many star coins can you give me? Hearing her words, Liu Xiaoying smiled and said, "How about 800,000 star coins to buy your recipe?" In fact, the price Liu Xiaoying gave was still much lower than what she had given. After all, the original hibiscus in the Fista restaurant sold for nearly 100,000 star coins. Even after deducting the cost, she could still make tens of thousands of star coins. You know, the hibiscus made by Wen Dahei is already very popular with customers. If it is replaced with this improved hibiscus, Liu Xiaoying believes that more and more customers will come to eat and order this dish. So spending 800,000 star coins to buy out Wen Jiu's more perfect hibiscus recipe is a big profit for her no matter what. Well, this price. Wen Jiu thought seriously. This is 800,000 star coins. She never thought that she could make so much money from selling a recipe, which is enough for her to buy an apartment in full. Think about the many recipes she posted on the Anchor's Dynamics before, which are completely free. I don't know if there are people with impure motives who steal her recipes to sell for money. If there are such people, then she will lose a lot of money. But on second thought, although she has enough recipes, this recipe is not invented by her anyway. It is more or less the intellectual copyright of someone else, and she always feels a little inappropriate to sell it. The master is right. A gentleman loves money and gets it in a proper way. Wen Jiu loves money, so naturally he will not exchange other people's things for money. It's okay for her to make money by cooking, but it is more or less immoral to sell the copyright of recipes developed by others to make money. So after struggling for a while, Wen Jiu could only bear the pain and said, "Sorry big sister, I won't sell it." Liu Xiaoying thought she was not satisfied with the price, so she opened the quotation again. "How about this? 1 million star coins? 1 million. 1 million star coins." I don't know how long she has to work in the cafeteria, or how long she has to work as a host to earn this amount. But the moral bottom line cannot be violated. Wen Jiu sighed deeply. "I'm sorry, it's really not a matter of price." While Liu Xiaoying was still thinking about raising the price, she quickly stopped her and said, "Big sister, let me tell you the truth. In fact, this recipe was taught to me by an old grandfather, but the old grandfather said that the recipe cannot be sold to others casually, otherwise I will suffer retribution in the future. So this matter is really not a matter of money. Don't offer any more." Wen Jiu was afraid that Liu Xiaoying would offer a price of 2 or 3 million star coins, which would hurt her heart even more. Losing a million star coins is still her best. Liu Xiaoying wanted to raise the price again. After all, Wen Jiu's words sounded like he was fooling her. But she was a person who had done a lot of business, and she knew it as soon as she saw the other party's attitude. It would be very difficult to buy the recipe from Wen Jiu. But no matter what, Liu Xiaoying wanted to fight for it again. 3 million star coins. This is my last offer. This price was not the highest price in Liu Xiaoying's mind. Her budget was to use 5 million star coins to get Wen Jiu But so far, she still thought that Wen Jiu was trying to raise the price with her and wanted to sell the recipe at a higher price. You know, she only paid Wen Jiu an annual salary of 3.5 million star coins. But Wen Jiu not only knows how to make this flower blossoming hibiscus, he also knows several other ancient Chinese dishes. It's just that the taste is not as good as the flower blossoming hibiscus with a nearly complete recipe, but those dishes can also be sold for thousands or even 10,000 star coins. Hiss. Wen Jiu really couldn't help but take a breath. 3 million star coins. She might be able to buy a villa in the civilian area. Thinking of this, Wen Jiu's face turned bitter in an instant. Liu Ziyang had been carefully observing her reaction. Seeing that she was eager to agree, she immediately felt that she was in a safe position. She was determined to get this recipe of hibiscus flower. Just when she was full of confidence, she saw Wen Jiu with a bitter face and crossed his hands in front of his chest and said, "Woo woo woo, I refuse and I won't sell it." Wen Jiu was in great pain. God knew how much she wanted to sell this recipe, but she kept her master's teachings in mind, and she really couldn't do such an immoral thing. So Liu Ziyang could only see Wen Jiu's words of rejection with an expression that was almost crying. She didn't understand. 3 million star coins couldn't impress this kid. Then what on earth did Ziziu rely on to turn him into a business partner? Miss Wen, listen to me. If you don't want me to buy out, we can talk again. Or if you are not satisfied with the price, I can continue to raise the price. And we can also go in the form of authorized dividends. But the price I offer will be lower, but I will definitely not let you down. Authorized dividends. Wen Jiu felt even more uncomfortable when he heard this. Did Liu Ziyang think she wanted to get dividends? She thought, of course she wanted to, but this recipe and her improved potion formula can't be generalized at all. The recipe of Hua Kefirang already existed in modern times, and then she learned it from other people's recipes. The improved potion formula sold to Ziziu was her own improvement method, which was her original creation. So she could sign an authorized dividend agreement with Ziziu, but she couldn't sell the recipe of Hua Kefirang to Liu Ziyang in such a profiteering way. No need to talk anymore. Wen Jiu sighed again. Big sister, if there is nothing else, I will leave first. I still have to go back to the academy to study hard. Seeing that she was leaving, Liu Ziyang could only compromise and said, then can I add you as a friend on the Star Network? You know now that I'm the owner of the Fister restaurant. My last name is Liu and my name is Ziyang. If we can't do business, we can always be friends, right? Thinking that he had rejected the millions of star coins that the other party had sent to his door, Wen Jiu agreed to add him as a friend and told him his real name to show his sincerity. Let's go, big brother. Wen Jiu walked out of the kitchen and saw Ziziu standing outside the door. He thought that this person was much more obedient than Ziqing. Have you finished chatting? Ziziu had maintained a serious and cold look, but when he saw Wen Jiu coming out, he immediately turned into a smile as warm as spring breeze. Yeah. Wen Jiu turned around and said goodbye to Liu Ziyang. Goodbye, big sister. Seeing this, Liu Ziyang kept smiling and said goodbye to her, but she was still thinking in her heart how to buy the recipe from Wen Jiu. After saying goodbye to Liu Ziyang, Wen Jiu quickly said goodbye to Ziziu and David Huarat. She was afraid that, if she stayed any longer, she would reveal the pain she was suppressing. After all, losing $1 million really made her very painful. Teacher Yan, let's go back. Yan Jingban wanted to ask Wen Jiu what he and Liu Ziyang talked about, but he thought that this was Wen Jiu's own business after all, so he didn't ask anything. Now that everything that needed to be solved was solved, he took Wen Jiu back to 3047 Academy by car. Today's third update. Don't panic. Wen Jiu will definitely be able to buy a house. Chapter 181 How to make sausage, bacon and pickles 1. After returning to the academy, Wen Jiu did not rush to the training ground for independent training, but rushed to the storage office to collect the express delivery. She had previously customized 5 kimchi jars from Gaoleo Wu. After a week of modification, she finally made the old-fashioned style she wanted. Now that she has received the express delivery sent by Gaoleo Wu, she can start making kimchi. At the same time, the ingredients for making bacon and sausages that Wen Jiu bought were also delivered, because the casings for making sausages are generally disposed of as garbage by the slaughterhouse. So after she placed the order, she waited for these days for the Star Network supermarket to gather all the ingredients and ship them. Thank you, classmate. Students working part-time can be seen everywhere in the 3047 Academy, and there are also several students working in the storage office. Because Wen Jiu had too many express deliveries this time, and Zeke and Gaiwan Kyoshi were both training at the training ground, the students at the storage office kindly lent her a delivery robot to help take the express deliveries away. It must be said that it is convenient to have robots to help transport express deliveries. Wen Jiu returned to the kitchen of window number 18 with the robot in a short while. After putting away all the express deliveries, she took the robot back to the storage room. Classmates, I put the robot here. Wen Jiu smiled and greeted the students who were still busy in the storage room. Thank you, I'm leaving first. After Wen Jiu left, the students stopped their work and whispered, is that really the chef classmate from window number 18? She looks so young and doesn't seem like someone who can cook. That's her. When I went to buy food last time, I glanced inside and happened to see her long and pointed ears. She is the only one in our college with such ears. Several people whispered, but they had no ill intentions. It's just that the catering level of the cafeteria has improved a lot now. So some curious students asked the students who worked in the cafeteria, but the answers they got were a bit vague. Some said that the teacher arranged a cooking class for them, some said that the teacher got a better cooking robot, and some revealed that the improvement in catering level was related to window number 18. In short, there are all kinds of theories, which arouse the curiosity of more students. For example, the students who work in the storage office believe the third theory. That is, the chef classmate at window number 18 led the other windows. So every time they go to the cafeteria to get food, they will take the opportunity to observe Wen Jiu secretly and then gossip about him in private. However, the person involved did not know how many students' curiosity she had successfully aroused. She only knew that she was craving sausages and bacon. Wen Jiu had just cleaned the kimchi jar inside and out and was now putting them aside to dry. Taking advantage of this gap, she unpacked all the fresh express sent by Xinguang supermarket. After repeated comparisons, Wen Jiu chose to use black wined mountain pork to make this sausage, because the meat of black wined mountain pork is more slender and smooth, and it will not be too greasy after being made into sausages. As for bacon, of course, you have to use the meat of Gilu beast, which is more plump and tender. So Wen Jiu first threw 15 kilograms of black wined mountain pork into a large basin, then washed each piece with clean water, and then used absorbent paper to absorb the moisture of each piece of meat. After completing the preliminary steps, she put 5 kilograms of black wined mountain pork in a separate basin, thinking that these 5 kilograms could be used to make Cantonese sausages. Although Sichuan sausages are spicier and more fragrant, the unique sweet flavor of Cantonese sausages tastes good. As a chef, making sausages by yourself is of course necessary. After sorting, Wen Jiu cut all the whole pieces of black wined mountain pork into strips of moderate thickness. Then poured chili powder, pepper powder, salt, 5 spice powder, pepper powder, cumin powder and other seasonings into the large basin. The chili powder is ground by her own search for many varieties of chili and gave it to Xinguang supermarket, so it smells particularly fragrant. After preparing the seasoning for Sichuan sausages, Wen Jiu quickly put on her gloves and began to caress the meat strips in the basin. After evenly applying the seasoning to each piece of meat strip, she took off her gloves and continued to add flavor and color to another basin of Cantonese sausages. Because Cantonese sausages are sweeter, the seasonings used are different from those for Sichuan sausages. Wen Jiu poured salt, sugar, soy sauce, and white wine into the small basin in turn, then put on a new pair of gloves and mixed them well. After marinating all the meat strips in the 2 basins, she poured the casings into another basin and sprinkled some salt and baking soda to clean the casings. By the time she had cleaned and arranged the casings, the meat strips in the 2 basins were almost marinated. So Wen Jiu immediately began to assemble the enema, which she bought after searching for a long time in the gold mining store. After all, few people know how to marinate sausages and bacon now, and she had a hard time finding an instrument that could be used as an enema. Fortunately, the instrument is easy to assemble. Wen Jiu followed the instructions and successfully assembled it in a short while. She quickly put the cleaned casing on the outlet and then started to fill the Sichuan sausage. Wen Jiu picked up a piece of meat and stuffed it into the funnel, then turned the handle behind the instrument with one hand, mincing the meat little by little and passing it to the outlet, and finally filling it into the casing. At first, she was not very skilled, so the speed of filling the meat was very slow. But after repeated operations, she mastered the trick and made the speed of filling the meat faster and faster. A long round dark red sausage was made by Wen Jiu. After using the meat strips for making Sichuan sausages, she took off the casing at the end and tied a knot. Then she tied the sections with cotton thread and finally used a fine needle to poke a lot of small holes on the surface of the sausage to facilitate the better discharge of air and moisture during drying. After making the Sichuan sausage, Wen Jiu followed the same method to fill the Cantonese sausage. Just as she was using a fine needle to poke holes in the Cantonese sausage, Ziqingyu and Kyoshi just pushed the door open. The two saw Wen Jiu stabbing a large mass of unknown objects with a fine needle, so they very tacitly retreated directly to the door and closed the door with a bang. Kyoshi glanced at Ziqingyu, who looked uneasy, and said, "You should ask your brother if he has offended Jiu." Originally, they didn't know that Wen Jiu had gone to sign the contract, because Wen Jiu planned to tell them after he came back after signing the contract. As a result, Ziziu sent a message to Ziqingyu on the way back to the company. He said that he was very satisfied with Wen Jiu's cooking skills and asked his brother to get along well with Wen Jiu and try to bring him back during the holidays. So under Ziqingyu's questioning, he and Kyoshi learned that Wen Jiu had gone out of school to sign the contract today. Today's first update. Thank you for the support of every little angel 030. PS. The sausage making method can refer to the following information. 1. The making method of Sichuan sausage in Jiachifang. 2. Lizuki, the recipe of Sichuan bacon and Sichuan sausage that I have made at home for decades is handed over to you. Nagging. In the future, the thank you list and nagging will be moved to the chapter comments. This will not affect the readers who listen to the book, nor will it disappoint the readers who reward and vote. Chapter 182, How to make sausage, bacon and pickles too. However, this kind of thing is Wen Jiu's private matter anyway. Even if the other party doesn't tell them, the two will not feel unhappy at all. It's just that Ziqingyu and Kyoshi were a little surprised because they really didn't expect that Wen Jiu was so talented in pharmacy. Especially Ziqingyu. He knew how high his brother's vision was. And Ziziu himself is very good at research in medicine, so he took the initiative to invite Wen Jiu to sign a contract, which shows how talented and capable Wen Jiu is. But the two of them didn't mean to be jealous of Wen Jiu. After hearing the news, they just wanted to come to the kitchen to congratulate each other. As a result, when the two came, they saw Wen Jiu stabbing an unknown object with a needle. The murderer saw her. That seemed to be there really scared them. Let me clarify first, what my brother does can't represent me. Ziqingyu was afraid of being implicated by his brother. If Ziziu really made Wen Jiu angry, he would definitely help Wen Jiu to attack Ziziu. It can be said that he is a good brother. Did your brother reply to your message? Kyoshi opened the door again and looked inside carefully. It would have been fine if she hadn't looked, but she felt even more horrified after she looked. Wen Jiu was still poking the unknown object with a needle and even twisting it around. The most important thing was that the unknown object looked very much like a human intestine. He hasn't replied to me yet. Ziqingyu sighed. Is it easy for him to get a job under Wen Jiu? Why is his brother so useless? The two were thinking about how to comfort Wen Jiu when they heard her voice from inside the door. What are you two doing standing at the door? Do you want to be my dog gods? Hearing this, Ziqingyu and Kyoshi looked at each other. What do you mean? Are we going in or not? Ziqingyu silently made a mouth shape, waiting for Kyoshi's reply. As a result, the other party just pursed his lips and snickered, and before he could react, he pushed him in. Kaioshishi, you. Caught off guard by a strong push, Zikingayu almost fell to the ground. He was about to say a few words about Kaioshishi's lack of conscience when he saw Wen Jiu staring at him with his hands full of blood. Stop arguing, you two go sit in the corner. Wen Jiu had just processed all the sausages and was thinking about continuing to marinate the bacon. As a result, she heard these two silly kids chattering outside the door, which gave her a headache. There are more seasonings for making bacon than sausages, so she thought about processing the Gilu beast meat first, and then grinding and preparing the seasonings later. She had just drained the excess blood from the Gilu beast meat when she saw Zikingayu stumbling in. Okay, Sister Jiu. Zikingayu actually wanted to ask Wen Jiu if she had any unpleasant things with her brother, but he felt that if he said one more word, he would be beaten on the spot, so after thinking for a moment, he still sat in the corner honestly. As soon as he sat down, he saw Kaioshishi also sitting over. So he whispered, Kaioshishi, you wait for me. Yeah, I'm waiting. A few seconds after Kaioshishi pushed Zikingayu in, she stood obediently at the door and let Wen Jiu arrange it. So when she heard Wen Jiu ask them to sit in the corner, she followed Zikingayu very sensibly and sat down together. What bad intentions could Shishi have? She just wanted Zikingayu to be scolded. Jiu, what delicious food are you making? After sitting and observing for a while, Kaioshishi was very curious about Wen Jiu's behavior of smearing thick salt on each piece of meat. This is bacon. Wen Jiu turned the piece of meat in his hand over and continued to smear salt and seasoning. The thing next to it, that looks like intestines, is sausage. It was another food they had never tasted or heard of. Oh. So is it delicious? Wen Jiu had already trained Zikingayu to be a foodie. He had completely forgotten how scared he was by Wen Jiu before, and was only thinking about whether these things were delicious. It's delicious, but you have to wait for a while before you can eat it. After the sausages are made, they have to be placed in a cool and ventilated place to air dry for a while, and Wen Jiu plans to smoke the bacon with fruit wood after it is marinated and then slowly air dry it so that it will be more flavorful when eaten. After smearing thick salt and seasoning on each piece of meat, Wen Jiu threw a lot of fresh orange peels and peppers into the basin and then moved the basin to a cool corner. After all, bacon is different from sausages. Bacon needs to be marinated for about a week. If you two are free, help me wash these vegetables and then use absorbent paper to absorb the moisture on the surface. Wen Jiu worked for a long time to finish making sausages and bacon, and now he has to continue to prepare pickled kimchi. The cafeteria is closed on weekends, so there is plenty of time for her to toss here. After hearing her words, Zikingayu and Kaioshishi quickly got up and moved the basket of vegetables to the sink, and then started to wash them. Wen Jiu could just take this time to rest for a while. Although she had experienced more than 3 months of academy training life and had trained hard every day to strengthen her physical fitness, her previous nutritional deficiencies were still too severe. Thanks to Zhu Wangming's friendly support, he gave her so much nutrient solution. Coupled with the tonic pills she made herself, her current physical condition is no different from that of ordinary people. But after all, it is still much worse than Kaioshishi and Zikingayu, who have been in good health since childhood. Therefore, after such a long time, Wen Jiu was really a little tired. Jiu, we have done it as you said. Kaioshishi and Zikingayu not only handled the vegetables as she said, but also thoughtfully arranged them in different categories. Seeing this, Wen Jiu first thanked them a few words, and then began to pickle kimchi. Each vegetable takes a different amount of time to pickle. She first peeled the cherry radish and white radish, which had the shortest pickling time. White radish is rich in vitamin C and trace element zinc, which helps to enhance the body's immune function and improve disease resistance. 1. Cherry radish can promote gastrointestinal motility, increase appetite, and help digestion. 2. Wen Jiu then cut the cherry radish and white radish into strips as wide as a finger, put them in a large bowl, sprinkled an appropriate amount of salt on them, rubbed them evenly, and then pickled them. Rubbing with salt can remove some of the spicy taste of the radish, so that people will not feel choking when eating. Pickled radish is a very common food in Sichuan and Shu, and each household has a different recipe and taste. Wen Jiu used the pickling method she used most often in the past. After all, she likes it this way. While waiting for the radish to be pickled, Wen Jiu poured clean water into a large pot, put white vinegar and rock sugar into the pot, heated it until the rock sugar melted, and then turned off the heat and let it cool. Then cut the chili pepper into sections, cut the ginger into shreds, mix with the pickled radish strips and pour into the jar, and finally pour the cooled sweet and sour water into the jar and seal it. Before sealing, Wen Jiu also cut a few slices of lemon and put them in. Lemon can deodorize and preserve freshness. It can not only remove odors, but also make the pickled radish taste crisper and more refreshing. Today's second update. PS. The method of making bacon is referenced from 1. Homemade bacon in the kitchen. 2. Lizik's video. 1. The information on white radish is referenced from Baidu Encyclopedia. 2. The information on cherry radish is referenced from Baidu Encyclopedia. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 183 Stir-fried pork with lettuce and shredded pork with green pepper. 1. After making a jar of pickled radish, Wen Jiu pickled another jar of pickled cowpea and peppers. Finally, she made a jar specifically for pickled vegetables, and she finally put an end to her obsession with kimchi these days. After all, kimchi is really good. It can be eaten alone, or used in cooking. Wen Jiu placed 3 kimchi jars next to the bacon basin. She was a little impatient to taste the taste of her hometown. Unfortunately, the pickled radish, which has the shortest pickling time, has to be pickled for a whole night, so she can only taste it tomorrow. There are still 2 empty kimchi jars left. Wen Jiu plans to use them when she thinks of what vegetables to pickle in the future. By the way, what did you eat at noon today? In the past weekends, she cooked for these 2 people in the kitchen. Now that she has something to do on the weekend, she doesn't know how these 2 unlucky children solved their lunch. We drink nutrient solution. Kyoshi answered first, and we found that many students now bring nutrient solution to the training ground in order to catch up with the training, for fear that they will not have a practice room when they come back from a meal. That's right, Kyoshi and I went back to the dormitory to rest for a short while, and there was no room in the weapon practice room. When Zikingayu thought of this, she felt speechless. Why are everyone so diligent at the end of the semester? You know, in normal times, there are plenty of rooms in the weapon practice room. After hearing their answers, Wen Jiu remembered that she had forgotten something. She forgot to ask to pack up the untouched dishes. There was no way the 4 of them could finish such a large table of dishes. Moreover, many dishes had not been touched, and the price of those dishes was so expensive. She would lose money if she didn't pack them back. Although she felt that the taste of those dishes was not very good, it was still okay to bring them back for 2 meals. Alas. Thinking of this, Wen Jiu sighed unconsciously. It's okay that she lost $1 million, but she didn't even get the free wool. She is really a failed stingy person. What do you want to eat tonight? Wen Jiu quickly got over the sadness of losing the opportunity to get wool. It was almost 6 o'clock now, and her stomach had been growling for a long time. I can eat anything. Kyoshi answered again, and she didn't forget to make a face at Zikingayu after she finished speaking. Seeing that she fell behind Kyoshi again, and was ridiculed by the other party, Zikingayu struggled to hold back her desire to confront Kyoshi, and blinked at Wen Jiu obediently and said, Sister Jiu, I will eat whatever you cook. Then I'll just stir fry 2 dishes, and you go to steam the rice. Wen Jiu rolled up his sleeves again. Shishi, come and help me wash the vegetables. I will deal with the meat directly. After assigning the tasks, Kyoshi and Zikingayu hurried to move. Wen Jiu opened the refrigerator and looked around, planning to make shredded pork with green pepper and stir-fried pork with lettuce, and finally make a vegetable soup. She first handed the green pepper, lettuce, carrots and green vegetables to Kyoshi so that she could do the work of washing the vegetables. Then she took out a large piece of black wined mountain pork. After all, it is not suitable to use too fat meat for making shredded pork and stir-fried meat. The lean tender loin of black wined mountain boar is just right. Wen Jiu washed the black wined mountain pork and cut it in half with a kitchen knife. She first quickly cut one half into slices of moderate thickness, then put the slices into a bowl, added appropriate amount of salt, white pepper powder and a little rice wine, and marinated them. Then she cut the other half of the meat into thin shreds, poured it into the bowl, added soy sauce, dark soy sauce, oyster sauce and other seasonings, and then added egg white and water to mix well. Finally, add a little starch and mix well, so that the marinated shredded pork will taste more tender and smooth. Wen Jiu processed the meat very quickly. When both portions of meat were marinated in the bowl, Kyoshi finished washing the vegetables. So she continued to cut the vegetables, shredded the green pepper, sliced the carrots and lettuce, and as for the green vegetables, she only needed to remove the outer old leaves. After preparing all these ingredients, Wen Jiu quickly lit the fire and heated the oil to start cooking. The first thing she made was shredded pork with green pepper. After sauteing the scallions and ginger, she poured the green pepper into the pot and quickly stir-fried it, and finally added the marinated shredded pork. Wen Jiu held the pot steadily up and down with one hand, and quickly turned the ingredients with the spatula in the other hand. The flames of the stove suddenly rose from under the pot, illuminating the kitchen, and outlining her increasingly beautiful face. After a few minutes, a portion of steaming shredded pork with green pepper was successfully served. Here, take this over first. Wen Jiu put the plate aside, washed the pot briefly, and continued to stir-fry the lettuce and meat slices. As soon as the garlic slices were put into the oil pan, they burst into fragrance, and the chopped carrot slices were put into the pan first. When it began to change color, Wen Jiu put in the marinated meat slices and stir-fried them. Seeing the pink meat slices gradually turn into a white color, she added the lettuce slices into the pot. The rich aroma of meat and the fragrance of vegetables mixed together and drifted away. The emerald green, but somewhat transparent lettuce slices and the red carrot slices intertwined. Anyone who saw this picture and smelled this fragrance would feel hungry. At this time, Zikingayu and Kyoshi sat obediently on the chairs. They looked calm on the surface, but they had already started to roar in their hearts. So hungry, they wanted to eat. Fortunately, the dishes made by Wen Jiu were all served very quickly, so she finished making all the dishes in a short while. When the green vegetable soup was served, the rice cooker also made a sound indicating that the rice was steamed. The three of them sat together happily, and each of them had a bowl of fragrant white rice in front of them. What are you two looking at me for? Eat quickly. Wen Jiu just untied her apron and saw Kyoshi and Zikingayu staring at her excitedly. She thought the two had something to say to her, but after she spoke, they started fighting for food like hungry wolves. Kyoshi had already taken a fancy to the stir-fried lettuce with meat. The emerald green and slightly transparent lettuce slices were fried in oil and coated with a layer of crystal oil. The red and orange carrot slices hidden between the greasy meat slices made her feel hungry. So after Wen Jiu spoke, she quickly picked up the stir-fried lettuce with meat. The crisp lettuce is paired with the sweet and tender carrot slices. When you bite it open, your mouth is full of the fragrance and sweetness of vegetables. When you taste it carefully, you can smell the rich meat aroma. The rich flavors are layered, which makes people feel more satisfied. The meat slices are also very tender, and you can taste the full meat aroma with a light bite with your teeth. The aroma of meat is also blended with the fragrance of lettuce and carrots, so it doesn't feel greasy at all when you eat it, as if the grease on the surface is just a decoration. Today's third update. Thank you again for the support of the Little Angels 030. Chapter 184 Stir-fried pork with lettuce and shredded pork with green pepper 2. Zikingayu aimed at the green pepper and pork shreds. The emerald green pepper shreds were matched with light brown pork shreds, and the surface was dotted with white sesame seeds. Just looking at the appearance, he was drooling. So when Wen Jiu announced that the meal was ready, Zikingayu immediately picked up the chopsticks and attacked the green pepper and pork shreds. Although the green peppers were taken out of the refrigerator's fresh keeping layer, they were still crispy and tender. After being cut into shreds, they were fragrant and spicy. The pepper grains inside had been hollowed out by Wen Jiu, so when you eat it, you only feel that it is very spicy and not choking. The shredded pork was fried to the right temperature, and it was chewy and tender. The spicy seasoning and green pepper shreds just covered up the fishy smell of the meat and set off the rich meaty aroma of the shredded pork itself. Zikingayu just chewed a few mouthfuls of green pepper and pork shreds and immediately picked up the rice bowl and started to dig rice. The soft and delicious rice paired with the salty and spicy green pepper shredded pork is simply a delicacy on earth. Can you two stop looking like starving ghosts? Wen Jiu served himself a bowl of vegetable soup. The green soup tasted full of fragrance, which just dissolved the greasy feeling brought by cooking. She saw Kyoshi and Zikingayu digging rice at the same time, feeling happy and helpless. These two people are not good at anything but eating. Well, it's because it's so good. Zikingayu ate up a full bowl of rice. Not even a grain of rice was left. He was still chewing something in his mouth, but he had already stood up and walked to the rice cooker, preparing to make another bowl of rice for himself. I think it's delicious too. Kyoshi usually doesn't eat much, and she is just full after eating a bowl of rice. But every time she eats the food made by Wen Jiu, she feels that her appetite can be expanded, and eating 2 or 3 bowls is no problem at all. Kyoshi touched her bulging belly and wanted to put down the bowl and announce that she was full. But when she saw that there was still more than half of the lettuce and meat slices left, she thought for a few seconds and immediately stood up and walked towards the rice cooker with the empty bowl. There are still so many lettuce and meat slices left. It would be a waste if I don't eat them. Then I'll get another bowl of rice. TSK, eat if you want. Don't be afraid of getting fat. Zikingayu was speechless when she heard her words. We are in the period of growth. Eat more so that we can grow taller in the future. He thought Kyoshi was afraid of getting fat if she ate too much, but she just came back after getting the rice and sat down and said, "Who is afraid of getting fat? And I will definitely be taller than you in the future. I will definitely be taller than you in the future. When the time comes, I will touch your dog head and you can only look up at me." Zikingayu refuted without thinking. Wen Jiu just listened to them arguing, and a word inexplicably appeared in his mind. Primary school students bickering. She was about to speak to ask the two to stop their childish bickering when she saw her wisdom ring flashing. So she put down her bowl and chopsticks and opened the light screen panel of the wisdom ring to check. OS Pharmaceuticals Ziziu, little Wen Jiu, are you angry? Ziziu sent this message without any reason, which made Wen Jiu very confused. How could she not know that she was angry? Family Wealth 9. No, when Zikingayu sent a message to her brother to ask, the other party happened to be in a meeting at the company. So when Ziziu checked the message after the meeting, he was stunned by the message sent by Zikingayu on the spot. He remembered that when he said goodbye to Wen Jiu, the other party looked very happy, but thinking that Wen Jiu was his partner and his cooking was so delicious. So Ziziu quickly replied to his brother, wanting to know if Wen Jiu was really angry because of him. Unfortunately, he didn't know that Zikingayu was busy helping Wen Jiu with work, so he didn't have time to pay attention to him as a brother. Waiting and waiting. It is now 7 o'clock in the evening. Ziziu did not receive a reply from his brother. After repeated thinking and struggling, he could only take the initiative to send a message to Wen Jiu. 9. By the way, Mr. Z, I have another request about our cooperation. He was just thinking about how to reply to Wen Jiu. After all, he really doesn't know how to coax children. As a result, Wen Jiu sent a new message, still talking about cooperation. If he wants to talk about this, he won't be sleepy. 9. I hope you can help me conceal my identity temporarily and don't announce that I'm the one who improved the formula. This idea came to Wen Jiu on the way back to the college. She didn't think so thoroughly before, and then she came to her senses and began to think about the identity issue. Looking at the reactions of Yan Jingqing and Ziziu, she can see that this matter must be very important for improving the formula of the medicine. and she estimated that Zizio's subsequent arrangements would definitely announce her identity in order to respect her achievements. But she is just an ordinary student now, and it may bring a lot of trouble after revealing her identity. So when Jiu thought about it and decided to discuss with Zizio not to reveal her real identity for the time being, so as not to bring too much trouble and affect her happy life. Os Pharmaceuticals Zizio, yes, it is possible, but will it be unfair to you? Family Wealth 9. No, I'm afraid that revealing my identity will affect my life. Anyway, I just want to get the money. Wen Jiu quickly typed on the light screen panel. After sending it, she thought for a moment and then sent a new message to Zizio again. Family Wealth 9. If you must write the researcher's identity name, use the name Lenki. She also wanted to make it easier for Zizio. If her improved medicine is on the market and sells well, there will definitely be many people who will go to Os Pharmaceutical to inquire about the researcher. Instead of hiding it, it is better to come up with a fake identity. As for how realistic this identity should be, that is Zizio's business. After communicating the matter with Zizio, Wen Jiu picked up the chopsticks again and wanted to continue eating. He saw that the 2 dishes and 1 soup on the table were all swept away, and not even the minced ginger and garlic were left for her. Sure enough, the rice cooked by Jiu is still delicious. Zikingai was wiping her mouth with a tissue. The nutrient solution at noon was marked as apple flavor, but I felt like it had no taste when I drank it. I drank strawberry flavored nutrient solution at noon, but I felt that it tasted too sweet. After hearing his words, Kaioshishi also savored it and began to agree. Because most interstellar cuisine is dark cuisine, the flavors of nutrient solution are mostly fruits and vegetables, but there are also various meat and various cooking flavors. It's just that fruit and vegetable flavored nutrient solution sells better. I hope you can clean up the kitchen before I beat you 2 up. Wen Jiu clenched his fists with a fake smile on his face. These 2 didn't leave any dishes for her, and they still had the nerve to chat here. Is this a good friend? She thinks they are just a casual friend. Wrong, Jiu, I'll wash the dishes right away. Zikingai sensed the crisis and quickly got up to clean up the dishes. Kaioshishi next to her also realized that she was wrong. She smiled and acted cute to Wen Jiu while picking up the mop and starting to mop the floor. Oh. Wen Jiu put down her chopsticks. Fortunately, she had eaten half full before, otherwise she would have to go and make some more food to fill her stomach. After Zikingai and Kaioshishi cleaned up the kitchen, she took the 2 of them to the training ground. Today's first update, again reminder, in order not to affect the little angels who are listening to the book, the thank you list and the chattering section have been moved to the chapter comments by the little author. Chapter 185, cramming before the final exam 1. Because there were only about 20 days left before the end of the semester, many students came to the training ground for extra training. After all, it was a final exam that all students in the school had to face, and the final grades were also linked to the graduation grades in the future, so not many people dared to be lazy at this critical juncture. The supernatural power practice room and the autonomous combat arena are full, and now there are only the weapon practice room and the mental training room. Where are you going? Zikingai went for a stroll and came back to tell Wen Jiu and Kaioshishi the sad news. On the way, they planned to go to the supernatural power practice room together, and if it was full, the 3 of them would go to the autonomous combat arena together. After all, among all the courses, the use of supernatural powers can be said to be the most difficult. There are even a few first-year students with poor comprehension talents who have not activated their supernatural powers so far. But the more difficult one is actually mecha driving. But the first year students will not take this course in the final exam, so the first year students will automatically exclude the simulated mecha driving training during their autonomous training. As for combat training, although the 3 of them had never discussed the selection of courses before, their choices were almost the same. That is to graduate smoothly by taking the combat route, but Wen Jiu chose a wider range of courses because she felt that, since she was here, she wanted to try every class. So she put all the courses she could choose on the schedule. Fortunately, there are several courses that are just for interest and do not require final exams. Otherwise, Wen Jiu would have a very difficult time at the end of the semester. I can do it. What do you think, Jiu? Kaioshishi looked at Wen Jiu and asked. Now that the end of the semester is approaching, more and more students are training on their own or even training crazily. So at this time, the academy will require 3 or 4 students to form a team and take turns using a practice room. I'd rather go to the weapons practice room. Wen Jiu thought for a moment. The final exam for our first year students' mental strength shouldn't be too difficult, just like the use of superpowers. After all, we have enough time to practice. Hearing her say this, Zikingayu agreed and said, you make sense. The exam for the combat class will definitely be more difficult. There are many ways to take the final exam for the combat class, one of which is to choose a weapon to fight, and there may also be an exam to assemble firearms. Therefore, strengthening the proficiency of assembling and using weapons is very helpful for the combat class assessment. In this case, let's go to the weapons practice room. Kaioshishi also agreed. After reaching an agreement, the 3 of them rushed towards the weapons practice room. Fortunately, they came fast enough and just grabbed the last weapons practice room belonging to the first year students. After the 3 found the room, they entered their student numbers on the panel at the door one by one. Waiting for the door to open, they hurried in and started preparing for training. Because they were not the first time to come to the weapons practice room, they could adjust the practice mode independently. After logging in by scanning the snowflake pattern on the wall with the smart ring, Zikingayu adjusted the practice mode to 3-person self-training. There are many modes of intelligent training, such as 3-person self-training, which is a more special practice mode. In this mode, 3 people choose the same weapon for park, such as 3 people choose the same pistol. Then the 3 people take turns shooting at their own human-shaped moving targets, and the one with the highest score wins. In fact, Zikingayu wanted to drag Wen Jiu to the self-combat fighting stage, not because he was itchy. It's just that Wen Jiu's fighting skills are much better than his, and he wants to work hard to improve under pressure. Unfortunately, the self-combat fighting stage is full, so he can only settle for the next best thing and come to the weapon practice room. But it's also good to come here. He thinks his shooting level is definitely better than Wen Jiu. After all, before entering school, he practiced shooting for a long time. Come on, ladies first. Zikingayu couldn't hide his excitement and saluted Wen Jiu and Kaioshishi. Kaioshishi rolled her eyes at him and said, we give priority to fools. So what weapon do you want to choose, Zikingayu? Can you let me be a gentleman? Zikingayu was rebuked by Kaioshishi again. He had never seen anyone more difficult to deal with than Kaioshishi. This was just his superficial thought, because he didn't dare to say much to someone more difficult to deal with. Okay, do you still want to practice? When Jiu saw that the 2 of them were about to start bickering again, and hurriedly spoke out to stop them. Her time is precious. After the self-training here is over, she has to rush back to the dormitory to post the cut bitter melon stuffed with meat video on Zingbo. Then let's start with pistol assembly and shooting. Zikingayu stuck out his tongue. I've asked around, and generally the final exams for first year students are pistols. Hearing him say this, Wen Jiu and Kaioshishi both nodded in response. After the decision was made, 3 tables appeared in the center of the empty room. The 3 of them stood in front of a table. After they stood up, they saw many gun parts appear on the table within a few seconds. Not far from them, a line of floating words appeared. The assembly of the new 46x pistol of Bofule will begin in 10 seconds. Challengers are requested to find all the parts and complete the assembly within 30 seconds. When the floating words appeared, an electronic clock with a countdown appeared next to it. The red numbers looked very conspicuous, stimulating everyone's competitive spirit. 0:30. When Jiu first glanced at her desk, there were no parts belonging to the new 46x pistol of Bofule on it. If nothing unexpected happened, she estimated that the real parts should appear when the countdown began. So she waited patiently for the countdown to start. Zikingayu and Kaioshishi next to them also looked for parts on the table. After finding that there were no real parts on it, they calmed down. Challenge begins. A whistle sounded suddenly, and the original gun parts on the table were suddenly replaced by another batch. Wen Jiu immediately picked up the gun parts on the table and started to assemble them. She found the barrel and dagger of the new 46X pistol of Beaufoulet at a glance, and then found the pistol spring, gun buckle, bullets, etc. in the search room. Her assembly speed was very fast, almost dazzling. Congratulations to the challenger Wen Jiu for completing the assembly in 18 seconds. As soon as Ziqingyu found the last part, he saw the floating words announcing that Wen Jiu had completed the assembly challenge. He turned his head in astonishment and looked at Wen Jiu, who was holding the assembled new 46X pistol of Beaufoulet, smiling at him proudly and playfully. Sister Jiu, tell me the truth. Do you often come here to practice gun assembly? Hearing this, Wen Jiu just smiled and showed her sharp and long tiger teeth, looking quite dangerous and wild. In fact, her assembly speed can be faster, but it just took longer to find the parts. You know, when she first came to the weapon practice room, she successfully assembled the new 46X pistol of Beaufoulet in just 13 seconds. Today's second update, PS. For gun assembly and gun parts, although the author has referenced relevant information on Baidu, the author cannot guarantee that it is completely correct, so please do not delve into it or take it seriously. Chapter 186, Cramming before the final exam 2. No, Georgie, please let me go. Help, I don't want to train with you anymore. Ziqingyu and Kyoshi were lying on the floor complaining. The self-confidence they had finally built up was completely shattered by Wen Jiu tonight. Don't act like I'm abusing you. I really let you go later. Wen Jiu squatted on the ground and scratched his head. Her short platinum hair had grown a lot in recent days and now fell below her collarbone. After the gun assembly challenge, she followed Ziqingyu and Kyoshi to conduct fixed target shooting training and moving target shooting training, and then changed to other weapons for practice. But no matter how they changed the training, she won the victory by crushing the other two. Can you call that letting you go? You are clearly humiliating me. Ziqingyu got angry when she talked about letting you go. Just now when they were doing the moving target shooting training, he really couldn't help but whispered a few words to Kyoshi. She probably said something like, Wen Jiu is too strong, and his score is more than 10 points slower than Wen Jiu, and he doesn't know what to do to catch up. As a result, Wen Jiu heard what she said, so when it was her turn to shoot, she pretended with very poor acting skills that her hand slipped, and then the bullet missed the target and got 2 points. She might think that she was letting him win, but in Ziqingyu's eyes, this was clearly humiliating him. So Ziqingyu concentrated on shooting, but even though Wen Jiu pretended to slip and made a mistake, he was still a few points slower than Wen Jiu. When the scores were finally calculated, Sister Jiu, we are so familiar with each other. Ziqingyu turned over and lay on his side on the floor with a salty face. How many times have you come to the weapons practice room privately? Can you tell me so that I can feel better? He wanted to know the answer to comfort himself. Maybe it was because Wen Jiu had practiced privately many times that he was very proficient. However, he soon regretted asking the question because Wen Jiu smiled and replied, I've only been here 3 times. 3 times. Ziqingyu and Kyoshi said at the same time, and they both sat up from the floor. They all thought that Wen Jiu must have come to the training ground to practice privately so he could get such a good result. But he only came to the weapon practice room 3 times, and they had to sigh that Wen Jiu was really talented. Have you really only come to practice weapons training 3 times? Ziqingyu's face was full of the words that he was very uncomfortable. Well, have you forgotten that I'm usually very busy? Wen Jiu shrugged. Generally, after the evening business of the cafeteria is over, I either go back to the dormitory to do things or take cooking classes in the cafeteria. Probably only during the free time on weekends can I come to the training ground for independent training. But when I'm free on weekends, I will go to the library to study, so naturally I have less time to come to train. These words made Ziqingyu and Kyoshi fall into deep thought. Of course, they knew that Wen Jiu was not lying, because she was really busy. Compared with other students, she had to rush to the cafeteria to work after class in the morning, and then she had to go to class and work in the afternoon, and she had to be busy doing live broadcasts while working. Generally, working students can arrange their time freely when the business is closed in the evening, but Kyoshi knew that when Jiu had to go back to the dormitory to set up a stall on the Star Network before, and now he has to stay in the cafeteria to teach students cooking classes after the business is closed. The term multitasking is very suitable for Wen Jiu. I've decided I'll come to grab a practice room at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Jiu stood up suddenly and clenched his fists. I don't believe it. I will work hard to practice for the next 20 days and I won't be able to beat you. He was inexplicably aroused by Wen Jiu's desire to win, and he looked like he was going to fight the other party. After all, his goal is to become the first in the Interstellar. How can he admit defeat? I also want to get up early and practice. Kyoshi also stood up. It seems that I was too confident before, and now I fully realize my shortcomings. Unlike Jiu's goal, she just wants to study hard to prove herself. To prove to those who don't agree with her dream that she, Kyoshi, can also be very good at fighting. When Jiu was confused by the sudden competitive spirit of the two people. Why did they look so excited after she said a few words casually? Okay, you guys should work hard. She glanced at the electronic clock. It was almost 11 o'clock in the evening. This time passed too quickly. Kyoshi and Jiu were still making passionate declarations, and when Jiu put on his school uniform and said to them, I'll go first, you guys should work hard, come on. Before the two people could react, when Jiu left the weapon practice room and ran to the dormitory. She hadn't been to the Star Network world to set up a stall for several days, and she was very sad about losing the stall fee. Now if she doesn't work hard to run the live broadcast and Starbo well, she will really cry because of losing money. After rushing back to the dormitory, when Jiu immediately opened the Ziggy display screen panel and checked the edited buttermelon stuffed meat video sent by Lulu. Because her data in the first round of Park was quite good, Lulu successfully won the bonus. So when she learned that she wanted to run Zingbo to make videos, Lulu immediately offered to help her edit the video to express her gratitude. Although when Jiu felt that there was nothing to thank her for, she really didn't have much time to study video editing, and it was good to have Lulu willing to help, so she agreed to the other party. The video sent by Lulu was only more than 6 minutes, but it perfectly showed the process and finished product of Wen Jiu making buttermelon stuffed with meat, and at the end of the video, there was a small Easter egg of buttermelon scrambled eggs for more than 10 seconds. Lulu, the video has been sent to you. You can think of a title and send it to Zingbo. After sending it, remember to share it on Because Dynamics. This will help to divert Because fans who follow you to Zingbo. Lulu. By the way, speaking of titles, I think the title of your live broadcast room is very good. You can give the video a similar title. When Jiu actually almost forgot what the title of her live broadcast room was called, because she was just thinking of it according to some kind of shock body at the time. But since Lulu said so, it means that the title of her live broadcast room is still very attractive. After watching the video and the message, when Jiu began to edit the release of Zingbo, she first imported the video, and then seriously thought about what kind of title this video should have. After thinking about it for a few minutes, when Jiu felt that she could combine the shocking style with the name of the series of videos. So the money fans who had just said goodnight to each other in the group received such a push. Challenge the most unpalatable ingredients in history. Everyone cried silently after watching it. Today's third update. Chapter 187 Zingbo Push 1. It has to be said that Zingbo's big data push is very accurate. Just a few seconds after when Jiu released the video, all the money fans who followed her received the Zingbo push. Even those who only clicked in to watch her live broadcast, but did not follow her received the push from Zingbo. At this time, Monkey Brother had just vomited from the bathroom, his face pale. Because Gong Zifake rarely broadcasts on weekends, he can only watch other food anchors, or go out to explore food stores, to kill boring weekend time. But since he ate the food made by Gong Zifake, every time he tasted the food made by others, he either felt it was hard to eat, or thought it was barely edible. Unfortunately, he successfully stepped on the thunder of the hard-to-eat food tonight. Monkey Brother saw that Leo Zhu, the big anchor of the food area of Bakaliv, started broadcasting tonight, so he clicked in to see what Leo Zhu would cook tonight. In the past, when he had not watched Gongzi Farke's live broadcast, the food anchor he watched most often was Leo Zhu. The other party can not only restore dishes according to ancient Chinese recipes, but also independently innovate some new recipes. Although there are occasional mistakes in cooking, most of the time the dishes taste pretty good. So Brother Monkey still likes to watch Leo Zhu's live broadcast, but later he discovered the treasure anchor Gongzi Farke, and rarely went to Leo Zhu's live broadcast room to watch. Today, Gongzi Farke didn't start broadcasting, but Leo Zhu did, so he turned on the holographic projection, picked up the dried fruit, and lay on the sofa to watch. Good evening, dear audience. The broadcast time is a bit late today. Leo Zhu, I apologize to you first. Leo Zhu still looked enthusiastic, with a sincere and honest smile on his face. In order to make up for the audience, I plan to make a charcoal grilled gilubis meat skewer tonight, and then I will open 5 rounds of tasting to try to make everyone eat it well. Brother Monkey ate the dried fruit in his hand, while watching Leo Zhu's live broadcast. I saw Leo Zhu put the large piece of gilubis meat directly on the chopping board, and chopped it into small pieces with a kitchen knife. Then he put the cut gilubis meat into the big basin, and then sprinkled in chili powder, cumin powder, salt, MSG and other seasonings. Old Pig's Piglet Big Brother, as expected of my pig brother, he is still so generous in adding seasonings. Unlike some anchors, who are stingy and only dare to use a small spoon to scoop seasonings. See Big Baby. After all, our big brother's generosity is unmatched by others. How can the taste come out if there is not much seasoning in the cooking? Pig Brother's Iron Fan number 3, that's right. Pig Brother, add more chili powder. I especially like spicy food. Every anchor has a different way of cooking. Some people have a light taste, so it's normal to put less seasoning. Don't compare me with others. Leo Zhu just mixed the gilubis meat in the basin, making sure that every piece of meat can be covered with plenty of seasoning. Compared with those anchors who like to pull down others, Leo Zhu is really doing a good job in this regard. For example, Monkey Brother doesn't like to watch those anchors who like to make comparisons, so he really appreciates anchors like Gongzi Farke and Leo Zhu who just do live broadcasts honestly. He ate bag after bag of dried vegetables, and finally saw Leo Zhu start to grill skewers with fierce fire. Leo Zhu first skewered the gilubis meat together with wooden sticks, and placed it in a tall pile next to him. Then he added a lot of red hot charcoal blocks under the grill, and then began the final steps of grilling the gilubis meat skewers. He picked up a handful of skewers and put them on the grill, then brushed them with a thick layer of oil. The oil and water mixed with the grease of the skewers dripped onto the charcoal blocks, and instantly ignited a raging fire, attracting the audience to post comments crazily. UEQIUDO, I haven't seen Leo Zhu's specialty for a long time. This fierce fire grilling is really not something that ordinary people can learn. Cocoa sugar, indeed. I've seen other anchors imitate Leo Zhu's fierce fire barbecue before, and they almost burned down the house. Hey, all kinds of viewers, don't imitate easily. Even Leo Zhu can't guarantee that fierce fire barbecue can be successful every time, so don't imitate casually. With the fierce flame roasting, Leo Zhu soon roasted the surface of the skewers in his hand until they were burnt black. After roasting, he picked up the seasoning jar next to him and sprinkled it on the skewers in his hand, full of chili powder and cumin powder. The yellow and red stains on the carbon black skewers. If it was the old Monkey Brother, he would definitely feel that his appetite was aroused. Unfortunately, he is no longer the old Monkey Brother. His taste has long been spoiled by Gongzi Farke. TSK, I didn't think Leo Zhu's dishes were so unappetizing before. Why do I feel like vomiting when I see them now? Monkey Brother smacked his lips and thought, could it be that he watched Gongzi Farke cook too much and his appetite became picky? Then Leo Zhu announced the start of the competition for the tasting quota, and he still clicked the competition button out of trust in the other party. However, he was very lucky and successfully grabbed the first round of tasting quota. After a while, a plate of grilled skewers appeared on the coffee table in front of the sofa. In the past, the rich aroma that I smelled was particularly tempting, but now the monkey brother only felt that it was like the smell of meat mixed with the smell of burning. He looked at the plate of yellow, red, and black skewers with a complicated mood. To be honest, he felt a little disgusted when he saw this plate of skewers, but he thought that he had already grabbed it, and as a gourmet, it was his duty to taste various foods and comment on them. So the monkey brother took a deep breath, took out the camera, and took a lot of photos of the skewers, intending to record them and write a review article, just in time to update his Zingbo, which he had not visited for a long time. After taking the photos, he picked up a skewer of skewers and took a bite. Cough 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 cough. The strong and pungent smell of chili and cumin mixed together, causing him to cough violently. After chewing carefully again, the burnt smell of the meat and its own meaty smell instantly filled his entire mouth. Ugh. Brother Monkey didn't expect that he had just taken 2 bites and a strong feeling of nausea came up. He threw down the skewer and ran to the bathroom. He held the toilet and vomited for a long time before he felt a little relieved. But the strong smell of seasoning and the strange smell of meat stayed on the tip of his tongue for a long time, and the taste made him vomit again. This repeated 4 or 5 times before he recovered a little and found the mouthwash to pour into his mouth. The sweet fruity aroma of the mouthwash occupied his lips, which finally stopped him from vomiting, and he walked out slowly holding the wall. Brother Monkey had not turned off the holographic image, so when he just walked out, he saw a pop-up window on it. Star blog push. Congratulations on your followers' new video. Today's first update. Thank you for the support of every little angel. Chapter 188 Zingbo Push 2. Brother Monkey is now in need of a real food video to heal himself, so he quickly used voice to switch the interface and switched to the Zingbo homepage of Gongzi Fa. As soon as he saw the title, he knew that this must be the same title that Gongzi Fa chose for his live broadcast. Looking at the video cover again, a few small and green buttermelons were taken in close up. Brother Monkey pondered for a moment, and he estimated that this video should be edited from the recording of Gongzi Fa making bittermelon stuffed with meat. Although he had followed the entire live broadcast at that time, it would not hurt to watch the edited finished video again. So he opened the video and started watching it. The editing of the video was pretty good, and the opening was the bittermelon, the protagonist of this video. Then he saw a pair of wheat-colored hands pick up the bittermelon and start processing it. She first used a knife to open a lid on the top of the bittermelon, and then used a spoon to skillfully remove the bitterest melon pulp inside. Brother Monkey watched the video carefully, and his appetite was gradually aroused. The emerald green ball-shaped bittermelon was filled with meat filling, and there was an orange wolfberry on the top as a decoration. It looked much better than the barbecue skewers he had just eaten. Last time when Gongzi Fa made bittermelon stuffed with meat on a live broadcast, he did not get a place to taste it, but he felt that just watching the screen and smelling the fragrance from the sensor made him very greedy. Although the video was only a little over 6 minutes long, after watching it, he was immersed in his curiosity and desire for bittermelon stuffed with meat. Turning his head back to look at the barbecue skewers on the coffee table, he suddenly understood a sentence. That is, people cannot be generalized. The same is true for food. The cooking skills of Leo Zhu and Gongzi Fa are really too different. Brother Monkey first forwarded Gongzi Fa's Zingbo with his own account, and then began to write a review article on Leo Zhu's barbecue skewers. The green grass on the head. Money fans quickly forwarded Zingbo. Get Sister Fake's data up. If you haven't followed her yet, follow her now. 1 week flowering season. Groups 1 and 3 have completed the task of forwarding, liking, and commenting. Groups 2, 4, and 5 should work harder. Remember to check in the group after you complete it. Pumpkin Big Guanan. Group 2 is only 30 people away from completing the task, and I have already urged everyone one by one. I'm so hungry. We need to get more data for Sister Fake. When Sister Fake's Zingbo data goes up, advertisers will come to her for advertising, so that Sister Fake can make more money to raise her children. Windy Man. Yes, Sister Fake's husband died, and she must have a very difficult life raising 2 children alone. I will go to group 5 to urge everyone to forward, like and comment as soon as possible. After Wen Jiu sent out Zingbo, he never paid attention to his Zingbo again. She looked at the time and realized that it was already 12 o'clock, but Kaioshishi had not returned to the dormitory. So she clicked on the message list and wanted to send a message to the other party to ask, but she found that Kaioshishi had sent her a message half an hour ago, but she was busy editing Zingbo at that time. Kaios Ocean, hard-working version, Jiu. I will practice more at the training ground and return to the dormitory later. If you are sleepy, go to bed first. Don't worry about me. Unexpectedly, Kaioshishi kept her word and started to work harder from today. Since others are working hard to study and strive to get good grades at the end of the semester, Wen Jiu felt that she could not fall behind. So she immediately logged into the Xinguang world and prepared to spend an hour setting up a stall to make money. Others work hard to study, and she works hard to make money. Everyone has a bright future. Sunbateo. I thought you wouldn't come again today. Wen Jiu was just about to take out the things to set up the stall when she heard a familiar female voice. She didn't even need to look up to know that it must be Zhuang Rudy who came to see her. What do you want? Wen Jiu put the small table and the small chair in place. She sat down and continued to put things on the table. Zhuang Rudy ignored the people who were waiting for Sunbateo. She walked to the table and said with a smile in her eyes, I really have to call you Master Sun now. How did you calculate it? Last time you told me to let my brother go out less recently, so I stopped him from traveling. He was a little reluctant at the time, but he was scared when he watched the news the next day. The interstellar spaceship he originally booked was attacked by an interstellar monster when it was sailing, and now everyone on the ship is missing. Zhuang Rudy said everything in a flash. She has been frantically recommending Sunbateo to her friends these days. If her previous trust in Sunbateo was 90, now that her brother's incident happened, her trust in Sunbateo has successfully risen to a full score of 100. Well, I'm glad your brother is safe. Wen Jiu finally put all the items in place. Do you have anything else to do today? If not, I'll charge you for chatting with me. After all, she paid a lot of stall rental fees, so of course she had to hurry to do business and make money. In fact, I can pay you to chat with me, but I'm doing well recently, so I won't waste your time. Zhuang Rudy has been in a good mood recently, so she didn't pester Wen Jiu to chat all the time. Just a few seconds after she left the table, she saw a slightly fat middle-aged man wearing gold and silver striding up. Although the lights in the Xinguang night market are as bright as day, it is still a dark night. But this man is wearing big sunglasses, and when he smiles, he reveals his shiny gold teeth in his mouth. Zenfu finally waited for the man he had been thinking about day and night, and he unconsciously put on a big smile. In reality, he is a small businessman, so it is inevitable that he is a little superstitious. But not many people in the general environment believe in metaphysics, and there are even fewer people who can really tell fortunes. Every time he visited the Star Network world, he would buy a lot of metaphysical items and return to reality. Unfortunately, there were too many scammers. Zenfu bought nearly 100,000 metaphysical items, but he didn't find a single one that was really useful. Until a month and a half ago, when he was visiting the Starlight Night Market, he accidentally discovered this stall called Fortune Teller Sunbateo. Zenfu, with the idea that he had been cheated so many times and his heart had been broken, would not be sad again, lined up to buy the last fortune bringing talisman of the day from Sunbateo. After returning to reality, he followed Sunbateo's instructions and pasted the talisman on the doorframe of his office. Less than 2 days after the talisman was pasted, the business that was previously intercepted by another company suddenly came to him. Then many businesses came one after another, as if they were rushing to give him money, and star coins poured into his account like a tide. In just over a month, he successfully doubled the size of the company and bought a new house and a new car. After finally finishing his busy work, he thought about thanking his benefactor Sunbateo these days. Unfortunately, he searched everywhere but couldn't find him. He heard from the lady selling charcoal roasted sweet potatoes nearby that Sunbateo only appears once every few days, and the time of appearance is uncertain. so Zenfu could only find time every night to wait for Sunbateo. After several days, he finally waited for this mysterious man who appeared and disappeared like a ghost. Today's second update 030. Chapter 189 Master Sun and Zenfu 1. Master Sun, I finally meet you. Zenfu bowed respectfully. When he looked at Wen Jiu with a smile, the shining gold tooth looked very dazzling under the light. Hello. Do you want to tell fortunes or divination? Wen Jiu smiled and responded to him, but her attention was all on Zenfu's gold tooth. It's great to be rich. Even teeth can be made into gold. If she had money, she would definitely forget it. She felt that her teeth were good and there was no need to get a set of gold teeth. She might as well save the money for gold teeth and try to buy a big house to live in. Master Sun, I came here today to thank you. Zenfu bowed deeply again after saying this. The fortune-bringing talisman you sold me is so effective. Fortunately, I met you. Zenfu spoke from the bottom of his heart for several minutes. If Wen Jiu hadn't stopped him, he would have kowtowed to Wen Jiu 3 times. By the way, Master Sun, do I need to pay now or scan the quarter code on the desktop? Zenfu felt that he couldn't express his gratitude just by saying thank you, and he felt that he had to do something. Yes, do you want to tell fortunes or? Before Wen Jiu finished speaking, he saw a message on his light screen panel. Your account has received 666,666 star coins. Master Sun, I'm just a token of my respect. Zenfu still had that sincere smile. It's a lucky number for business, I hope you will accept it. Wen Jiu looked at his light screen panel and then looked at Zenfu who was smiling. Good guy, the name is just like him. She had some impression of Zenfu. His forehead was high, wide and full, and his eyebrows were thick and smooth. He had a very good face of wealth. But he had a square face and big ears. People with such faces would not be easy to make a fortune when they were young, and their lives would be more difficult, but the closer they were to middle age, the better their wealth and fortune would be. In fact, he should have become rich long ago. Wen Jiu could tell from his face that he had accumulated a lot of wealth and fortune. Unfortunately, his fortune was intercepted by a villain, so he could only make a living by doing some small business before he met Wen Jiu. The fortune-bringing talisman that Wen Jiu sold him helped him bring back his fortune, so he became rich in a short time. Alas, you gave too much money. Wen Jiu sighed falsely, but he was actually very happy in his heart. This is more than 600,000 star coins. Together with the hundreds of thousands of star coins she has saved now, it is enough for her to buy a small apartment in the civilian area. Master Sun, please don't say that. I think I gave him too little. Zenfu was afraid that Wen Jiu would return the money to him, so he quickly said, please take this money without worry. When my business grows bigger in the future, I will come back to repay your kindness. Hearing him say this, Wen Jiu suppressed his smile and said with a calm expression, in that case, I will accept your kindness. Seeing that Wen Jiu did not refuse him, Zenfu spoke again with sincere words of thanks. It was not until the people in the queue behind urged him that he said, Master Sun, you go first. I will leave first. Hey, wait a minute. Wen Jiu stopped him before he was about to leave. Put some green plants in your office when you go back and try to negotiate the next business yourself. Don't trust others easily. After saying these words, Wen Jiu waved his hand to let the other party leave. After all, she received such a large sum of money from others, and it was right for her to give the other party a few words of advice. Then she took a few more fortune-telling orders and did not leave the Star Network world until 1 o'clock in the morning. After Wen Jiu left the Star Network world, Kyoshi happened to return to the dormitory at this time. Jiu, I'll go wash up and go to sleep quickly. I have to rush to the training ground to grab a position early tomorrow morning. After Wen Jiu left, Kyoshi trained with Zikingayu until almost 1 o'clock in the morning. She knew that with her talent, she could still get a good score at the end of the semester, but her talent was still far worse than Wen Jiu's. As the saying goes, if you don't have enough talent, you can make up for it with hard work. Although she regarded Wen Jiu as her best friend, Her inner competitive spirit still motivated her to target him and want to have a friendly competition with him. And the main reason for her hard work was to prove herself. To prove to those who underestimated her that she, Kyoshi, could do anything well. That's really hard work for you. Wen Jiu walked up to him and gave him a hug. But you don't have to practice too much. Rest is also important. It's not that Wen Jiu is lazy in learning, but mainly because her learning progress is too fast. While others are still working hard to practice controlling energy and using superpowers, she has long been able to attack with superpowers effortless. While others were improving their weapon proficiency, she had mastered the weapons she was interested in thoroughly. Not to mention the progress of others in fighting, preparing medicine and other courses. She has now become the behind-the-scenes pharmacist of OS medicine. Those students who can't prepare medicines according to the formula can't compare with her. In other words, she is not outstanding in simulated mecha driving, but simulated mecha driving is not included in the scope of this final exam. So Wen Jiu spent all the extra time to make money. As a former Chinese, saving money to buy a house is ingrained in her bones. Thank you Jiu. Kyoshi buried her head in Wen Jiu's neck. There was always a faint fragrance on the other person, and just smelling it made her feel peaceful. Don't worry, Wen Jiu patted her back to comfort and encourage her. Let's rest early. I remember you have classes tomorrow morning. Wen Jiu could see that Kyoshi was in a bad mood today. The master often praised her as a smart child. Not only is she extremely gifted in cultivation, she is also very good at observing people's words and expressions. If her temper wasn't so weird, she could be a popular person in the mortal world. Wen Jiu now regards Kyoshi as a good friend, so he will naturally observe her expression and emotions more. She saw that she was a little uneasy tonight, and a little anxious and irritable, so she kept thinking about finding a way to comfort her. Go wash up first. I'll go to the Star Network supermarket to buy some things, and make you a delicious dessert in a few days. Upon hearing what Wen Jiu said, Kyoshi immediately raised her head and smiled. Well, I feel much better. Then I'll wait to eat the dessert you made. Her expression was obviously much better. After chatting with Wen Jiu for a few words, she ran to the bathroom to wash up. Seeing that she had recovered a lot, Wen Jiu sat on the bed and opened the light curtain panel, thinking about what kind of dessert he should make. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 190, Tangyuan and Dumplings 1. Wen Jiu hung up the sausages she had made yesterday. She had to thank Lee Kinson for helping her find the canteen rooftop, which was dry and ventilated for easy drying, and could ensure that they could be exposed to the sun without being wetted by rain. There were also surveillance cameras on the way to the canteen rooftop, so she didn't have to worry about someone stealing them. However, the bacon still needed to be marinated in a large basin for a week, so Wen Jiu put the large basin in the shade of the kitchen and waited until it was fully marinated before taking it to the rooftop for drying and smoking. After processing these, Wen Jiu took out 2 bags of glutinous rice flour. One bag was bought by her at the Stonet supermarket, and the other bag was sent by her from the canteen. After all, she has always kept public and private affairs separate. She only uses the ingredients distributed by the canteen for canteen meals, and uses the ingredients she bought for tasting dishes. Although Wen Jiu likes to take advantage of others, she never takes advantage of such things. It was still early for lunch, and Kyoshi and Zikingai went to the training ground for extra training after class. Wen Jiu understood their desire to work hard, so she prepared the ingredients for the canteen meals alone. Now the end of the semester is approaching, and the spring festival will come soon after the end of the semester. In the past, when she was in the sect, she would cook glutinous rice balls and dumplings before the spring festival. However, the ancient Chinese tradition is to eat glutinous rice balls on the Lantern Festival, but there seems to be no Lantern Festival in the starry sky. Wen Jiu did not find that the college had any intention of celebrating the Lantern Festival in January. Now it is still a while before the spring festival. Whether it is the discussion of teachers and students in the college or the news push on the Starry Sky blog, they are all related to the Spring Festival. Therefore, Wen Jiu plans to sell some glutinous rice balls and dumplings in the canteen during this period. Dumplings are ready. She has packed a lot of them and frozen them in the refrigerator, which is enough to sell for several days. Now there are only glutinous rice balls to make. Wen Jiu wants to make black sesame fillings and walnut and peanut fillings. They taste good and most people can accept them. In addition to these two common fillings, she also plans to make some glutinous rice balls and refrigerate them. In the future, with brown sugar water or fermented glutinous rice juice, it can be easily made into a sweet snack. So when Jiu first turned on the Live broadcast and then picked up the bag of glutinous rice flour sent by the cafeteria and poured a lot of it into the basin. Hello everyone, how have you been after not seeing you for 2 days? Big brother monkey, I almost went to the medical cabin, but fortunately, Sister Farkay's bittermelon stuffed with meat video cured me. Glacier, when did the bittermelon stuffed with meat video come out? Why didn't I know? Pumpkin Dagwanan, someone, come and drag this fake money grubber out. Yesterday, all the money grubber groups tagged all members several times. Didn't you see it? Speaking of the video, please like and forward it more. Wen Jiu added water to the basin while stirring with chopsticks. When adding water to glutinous rice flour, it is necessary to add small amounts and multiple times to avoid adding too much water at one time, which will result in failure to successfully make the dough. After successfully making the dough, Wen Jiu began to make the fillings. She poured a large bag of black sesame seeds into the wok and repeatedly stir-fried them until the sesame seeds could be squeezed out of oil before turning off the stove. Then she poured the fried black sesame seeds into the food processor for grinding. After processing the black sesame powder, which is the main ingredient of the black sesame filling, Wen Jiu poured white sesame seeds, peeled walnuts and peanuts into the wok and stir-fried them. After frying them to produce a full nutty aroma, she poured these things into the food processor and ground them into fine particles. After completing these processing tasks, the next step is to prepare the filling. Wen Jiu first added an appropriate amount of butter and fine sugar to the basin containing black sesame powder, and then added a little bit of the gilubis meat oil she had made before. This gilubis meat oil is similar to lard, and it will be too greasy if you put too much. So Wen Jiu only put a small amount in to add fragrance. The ingredients required for walnut and peanut fillings are basically the same as those for black sesame fillings. After she quickly mixed both ingredients, she began to pinch the filling balls. I'm so hungry. Slurp, is this meatball the same as the previous one? Is it going to be fried in oil next? This is the stuffing that will be wrapped in it later, not to be eaten alone. Wen Jiu was pinching the meatballs while chatting with the audience. Her hands were like accurate electronic scales, and she could pinch out stuffing meatballs of similar size and weight without weighing them. Wanzhao, I just came to watch the live broadcast. May I ask what Sister Farkay made today? Today I made glutinous rice balls. Wen Jiu had just pinched all the stuffing meatballs, and she was going to put them in the refrigerator to freeze for a while. Big brother monkey, I searched for glutinous rice balls and found that there was a popular science saying that ancient China used to celebrate a festival called the Lantern Festival. During the Lantern Festival, people would eat glutinous rice balls, which symbolized the reunion of the family. The information that brother monkey looked up is quite accurate. Because it takes time to make stuffed meatballs, Wen Jiu quickly made the stuffing for the tasting dish after sending the stuffing prepared for the canteen meal to the freezer. After all, she has been working in the canteen for more than 3 months, and she is now processing ingredients faster and faster. When Kyoshi and Zikingayu came to the kitchen, Wen Jiu had just wrapped the last glutinous rice ball and used her small hands to pinch the glutinous rice ball and wrap it in glutinous rice flour. When you come, clean up and prepare for business. She instructed Zikingayu to clean the chopping board and asked Kyoshi to get a large pot of water and boil it on the stove. Because it was almost lunchtime when the two came, a large number of students came in after a while. Sister Anne, did you really not lie to me? Lu Zuiying stood at the door of the canteen with a tangled look on her face, and beside her stood Sun Ran and Yu Ruman with shining eyes. Seeing that she was still tangled, Sun Ran patted his chest and assured her, "I'm not lying to you. If you still feel uncomfortable after eating the food at window 18, sister, you and I will eat up the table on the spot. Then let's go." Lu Zuiying sighed and followed Sun Ran and Yu Rumen. She was originally from the intermediate planet, but for some reason she was transferred to the 3047 Academy this semester. Although the food on the intermediate planet is also dark, it is still much better than the food on the low-level planet. So after Lu Zuiying came to the 3047 planet, she couldn't accept most of the food here. Whenever she was hungry, she either drank nutrient solution or went to high-end restaurants for dinner. But whether it was on the intermediate planet or the low-level planet, the salary of being a teacher would not be very high. Over time, because of her small savings and excessive expenses, she gradually reduced the number of times she went to high-end restaurants for meals and could only drink nutrient solution to get through the meal. As an enthusiastic citizen, Sun Ran couldn't bear to see her relying on nutrient solution to survive, so he often treated her to some takiat. Although she felt that the takiats didn't taste much better, she couldn't resist the enthusiasm and could only try to eat the hard-to-eat takiats every time. But takiats can be eaten after all, and everyone in the college knows that the food in the cafeteria is like poison. So when Sun Ran proposed to take her to the cafeteria for lunch, she just wanted to find an excuse to run away. Today's first update: thank you to every little angel for your support, especially the little angels who insist on following the update. Thank you 030. Chapter 191, Tangyuan and Dumplings 2. But LV Zuiying couldn't resist Sun Ran's enthusiasm, and she knew that Yu Rumen was going with them. So she gritted her teeth and finally followed them to the cafeteria. The moment she stepped into the door, LV Zuiying prayed silently in her heart, hoping that she would not be sent to the medical cabin after lunch. New dishes are served today. Sun Ran looked at the menu on the electronic panel. There are glutinous rice balls and dumplings. What do you two want to eat? I want one dumpling and one glutinous rice ball. Yu Rumen made a choice quickly. Although she didn't know what glutinous rice balls were, there was nothing bad about the food made by Wen Jiu, so she just chose and ate it. Well, then I'll have one for each. If I can't finish it, I'll pack it up and take it back for afternoon tea. Sun Ran also made a decision quickly. She looked at LV Zuiying and asked, "Ying, what about you?" I'm the same as you." LV Zuiying forced a smile. She actually didn't want anything and didn't want to eat anything. But after all, she was here. It wouldn't be good for her not to order. After quickly ordering the food, the three waited for a while before getting their own plates. LV Zuiying was a little worried at first, wondering if she would start retching just by smelling the food. But when she looked at the two bowls on the plate, she felt that the food was delicately made and cute. Maybe it would be edible? With this thought in mind, she and Sun Ran found a seat and sat down, then picked up a spoon and stirred the glutinous rice balls. The white, plump and round glutinous rice balls lay safely in her spoon, and just looking at them made people feel fond of them. Such delicate and cute food shouldn't be particularly unpalatable, right? LV Zuiying squinted her eyes and swallowed the glutinous rice balls in the spoon. The soft, chewy and elastic skin was flexible, and after gently biting it, the black sesame filling like quicksand flowed out instantly. The sweet smell spread along the tip of the tongue and spread across the taste buds, and this sweet fragrance also had a little milky flavor. Black sesame seeds are ground into powder after being fried, so the aroma is particularly strong. The addition of butter and a little bit of lard made the aroma so strong that LV Zuiying was a little distracted. She had never thought that she could eat such delicious food in the cafeteria, and she had never tasted such amazing food even on the intermediate planet. She swallowed the glutinous rice balls unconsciously, and then scooped up another one to continue chewing. The aroma of peanuts and walnuts filled her mouth, and the slightly grainy filling tasted very layered. Coupled with the soft, glutinous and sweet glutinous rice dumpling skin, it made people want to chew and taste this rich taste repeatedly. The unique aroma of nuts diluted the taste of the previous black sesame glutinous rice balls, but both this taste and the taste of the black sesame filling made LV Zuiying feel very surprised. A whole bowl of glutinous rice balls was quickly solved by her, and she even drank up the soup in the bowl with the sweet aroma of glutinous rice. Ying, Try this dumpling. Sun Ran covered his mouth with one hand and sighed softly. This dumpling is so delicious. I must find a way to buy another one later. Hearing her say this, LV Zuang picked up her chopsticks and ate the steaming dumplings. The steaming soup rushed into her mouth impatiently. After eating the glutinous rice balls, she felt a little full, but the soup at this time was full of freshness and fragrance, which instantly opened her appetite. The slightly gelatinous fresh meat particles were wrapped in rich gravy, and the sweet, tender and crisp carrot cubes added another flavor to the fresh meat filling. There was also a small dish of deep red dipping sauce on the plate. After tasting the original dumplings, LV Zuang picked up another dumpling and dipped it lightly in the dipping sauce. The bright white dough with a little flexibility was instantly covered with a layer of shiny and ruddy color. LV Zuang took a bite. The spicy sauce with the sourness of aged vinegar, mixed with the delicious dumplings, made her appetite even greater. She used to only eat a small bowl of rice balls, but now she not only ate a whole bowl of rice balls, but also a large plate of dumplings. This increase in appetite was completely beyond her imagination. Sister Yu, Wen Jiu's cooking is so delicious. This is the first time I feel like an illiterate. I can't even think of a sentence to describe the deliciousness of her cooking. Sun Ran's eyes were full of tears while eating. She really didn't know how she, an adult, could eat so much that she wanted to cry. When Jiu, LV Zuang had just put down her chopsticks. Is it the student who was detected with dual system abilities? Yes, it's her. Sun Ran was eating happily. These meals are also made by her. She is the student in charge of window number 18. Oh, it turned out to be her. LV Zuang's tone of voice was somewhat meaningful, causing Yu Ruman to raise her beautiful eyes slightly and observe her expression calmly. However, LV Zuang hadn't noticed that Yu Ruman was observing her. I heard Teacher Zhao mention that she has a good talent before. Really? Yu Ruman tapped the table carelessly. It's a pity that Wen Jiu's talent is not good. Maybe Teacher Zhao remembered it wrong. Hearing this, LV Zuang just smiled shyly and said, maybe I remembered it wrong, but these glutinous rice balls and dumplings are really delicious. I really want to ask how they are made. It's not easy to ask. Sun Ran finally finished the food on his plate. After all, they have to make money. They will definitely not tell us the recipe easily, but we can come to the cafeteria to eat more often. And now except for window number 18, the food in other windows has also become better. Sun Ran said as he put several plates and bowls and chopsticks in place and took them to the recycling bin. Only Yu Ruman and LV Zuang were left waiting for her. The two were not familiar with each other, so Yu Ruman just looked quietly in the direction of window number 18. Lu Zuang followed her gaze and suddenly asked softly, Sister Yu, are you familiar with this student Wen Jiu? Hearing her question, Yu Ruman only smiled and replied, as a teacher, I'm familiar with every one of my students. Sister Yu, you are right. Lu Zuang smiled and lowered her head. After all, I'm not experienced enough as a teacher. I will have to ask Sister Yu for more guidance in the future. Yu Ruman raised her red lips and smiled more deeply. Don't worry, I will definitely teach you well. Just as the two fell into silence, Sun Ran finally came back. Oh my god, I wanted to queue up to buy another batch of dumplings to take away, but when I saw that the line was so long, I thought about forgetting it. She pulled Lu Zuang up carelessly and took Yu Ruman's arm. Let's go back for lunch. After eating and drinking, of course I have to sleep. Today's second update. I'm really sorry that I will post 2 updates tonight and 1 more during the day. It's close to the end of the semester and there are a lot of things to do. I was too busy today and didn't have much time to write. The 2 updates were rushed out ORZ. I hope the little angels understand. Cac, don't worry, there will be no interruption or less updates, and the 3rd update will be made up at noon. Chapter 192 JIUG buys a house 1. Busy time always passes very quickly. When Jiu turned off the live broadcast, after scanning all the tasting dishes, Kyoshi and Zikingai beside her had been waiting for her for a long time. Seeing that she was finally done, Zikingai quickly said, we plan to go to the training ground to practice the use of superpowers. Do you want to go with us? Wen Jiu wanted to go back to the dormitory to rest, but seeing the attitude of these two people was very earnest, he agreed. So the three of them rushed to the superpower practice room and the training ground. At noon, many students went back to the dormitory for a short lunch break, so there were still a few empty rooms left in the superpower practice room. After registering their information at the registration office, Wen Jiu and the other two went to the superpower practice room they applied for. Wen Jiu was still the first time to come here. Unlike other empty practice rooms, there were many human-shaped targets in the superpower practice room, and there was also a small operating table in the corner. Come on, start. Zikingai walked to the operating table and debugged for a while, only to see that the human-shaped targets in the room were instantly changed to only 3. Next to each humanoid target was a small floating projection panel, which displayed the health bar and armor value of the humanoid target. Let's see who can clear the health bar first. After debugging the practice mode, Zikingai walked to a humanoid target, with the words eager to try written all over her face. It won't be you anyway. Kaioshishi also walked to the humanoid target with a smile. Seeing that the two were ready, Wen Jiu walked to the remaining humanoid target. As soon as she walked to the target, she saw a red countdown on the wall. 1 o'clock. It seems that Zikingai has started a timed practice mode again. After a few seconds, a whistle sounded. The three of them attacked their own humanoid targets together. Zikingai is a gold type mutant. The skills that first year students can learn are Wind Rising and Fierce Wind. The former is mainly for defense and destruction of others' armor, while the latter is mainly for attack and causing huge damage. He first used a Wind Rising and then summoned 3 Fierce Winds, which instantly broke the humanoid target's armor and reduced the target's health bar by a quarter. Kaioshishi next to him also used a set of fire skills. The Fireball and Fiery Burn she had learned were both attack skills, so the target's armor was instantly broken and its health bar plummeted to 65%. This was 10% higher than the damage caused by Zikingai. Seeing this, Zikingai was about to continue to attack when she heard a mechanical and cold broadcast. Student 1318 completed the time-limited training in 6 seconds. This voice caused Zikingai and Kaioshishi to look at Wen Jiu, but the person involved only smiled and scratched his head. Wen Jiu didn't expect that her speed would be so fast. When she practiced in class before, she also spent a lot of time to clear the target's health bar. But today she replaced the flame with her own deep sea blue flame. Since she experienced the Dianui forest incident, she has mastered the switching of flames. Now she can switch between ordinary flames and deep sea blue flames freely, in case the appearance of deep sea blue flames surprises and makes others curious or brings her unnecessary trouble. Zikingai and Kaioshishi have both seen her deep sea blue flames, but they have never asked about them, and they only believe in her. So Wen Jiu dares to use deep sea blue flames in front of them. But today she just wanted to try the power of using deep sea blue flames to launch skills, but she didn't expect to directly clear the target's health bar to complete the training. Zikingai's little face wrinkled into a ball. He really couldn't find words to describe Wen Jiu, and now he regretted why he dragged Wen Jiu to train together. Isn't he humiliating himself? Jiu, you are so awesome. Unlike Zikingai's dejected look, Kaioshishi's eyes were like stars, looking at Wen Jiu brightly. Can you teach me how to increase the damage of skills? Kaioshishi is also a fire type mutant, so it is reasonable to ask Wen Jiu to teach her. Well, it should be possible. Wen Jiu thought that, even if he used ordinary fire attacks, his damage value was higher than those students, so it should be possible to teach Kaioshishi. So the situation became that Zikingai practiced alone with Grievance, while Kaioshishi listened to Wen Jiu's teaching with a smile on her face. Zikingai felt like a pumpkin seed floating in the corn and pumpkin soup. 1. Come on, try it according to what I say. Wen Jiu taught Kaioshishi all her experience in using fire abilities. In fact, what she said was still quite vague. After all, talent is also very important in the use of abilities. Fortunately, Kaioshishi's talent was not bad, and her comprehension ability was much better than other students, so she quickly understood what Wen Jiu said. She once again used a set of fire skills on the humanoid target, and this time it directly reduced the target's health bar to 50%. Great. After seeing the value displayed on the panel, Kyoshi jumped up excitedly. Seeing this, Zikingayu felt even more aggrieved. Why isn't Wen Jiu a gold type superpower? That way he can learn from the masters and make more progress. Aren't you going to be the best in the universe? How come you can't even convert concepts? Zikingayu was feeling aggrieved when Wen Jiu suddenly spoke. This made him sober up. The use of superpowers is essentially the same. Whether it is gold type superpowers or fire type superpowers, they all stimulate the superpower energy in the body to perform skills and cause damage. So Zikingayu only needs to convert what Wen Jiu said and understand it a little. I understand. You are worthy of being my sister Jiu. Zikingayu's well-behaved appearance now is completely different from her arrogant and tsundere attitude when she first met Wen Jiu. In addition to being arrogant and tsundere, his biggest characteristic is that he talks a lot. But Wen Jiu and Kyoshi have long been accustomed to it. Then you two should practice first. I'll reply a message here. Wen Jiu just saw her wisdom ring flashing, and she didn't know who sent her a message. While Zikingayu and Kyoshi were digesting the new knowledge, she opened the light screen panel to check the message. Your account has received 1 million star coins. Wen Jiu was very confused when she saw this message, but soon someone helped her answer her doubts. AOS Pharmaceuticals EZU, little Wen Jiu, has the payment arrived? Family Wealth 9, did you pay that 1 million? In the subsequent chat, Wen Jiu learned that the money was a deposit paid by AOS Pharmaceutical, which made her feel at ease, and also expressed AOS Pharmaceutical's sincerity. After a while, when her improved medicine is successfully launched on the market, she will also receive dividends from subsequent regular payments. After Wen Jiu and Zizu finished chatting, she clicked on her Star Network account. Your balance is 1,832,847 star coins. Wow, she successfully became rich in just a few days. In 2 days, she will also receive salary payments from the academy in Bakaliv, which means that her savings will soon exceed 2 million star coins. This means that Wen Jiu can finally buy a house. I have added the 3rd update today. Thanks again to every little angel for their support. Cac. I'm really sorry, the author is also very busy recently due to the end of the semester ORZ. PS. 1. From Crazy Literature. Chapter 193 Jiu buys a house 2. Wen Jiu was particularly happy when she thought that she could finally buy a house. She looked at Zikingayu and Kyoshi who were still practicing, so she simply stood in the corner and browsed the information about real estate sales. Wen Jiu had actually browsed relevant information before, but at that time her budget was about 800,000 star coins. Now she has more than 1.8 million star coins, and she can add hundreds of thousands of budget to buy a better house. So Wen Jiu directly excluded the slums with poor environment and bad public security, and turned to search for house sales information in the local civilian areas. The civilian areas not only have good environment and greening, but also much better public security than the slums, and there are many benefits to enjoy. For example, every cold season, the cold-proof protective shield will be turned on, so there is no need to buy warm stones, heavy warm clothes and other cold-proof supplies. In addition, citizens with real estate can enjoy some discounts in the area, such as citizens in the civilian areas can get a 95% discount when they go to the civilian hospital for treatment. This discount may not seem much, but it costs thousands of star coins to lie in the medical cabin once, and you can save hundreds of dollars after the discount. The first batch of boutique houses in Donghu Garden is on sale. Beautifully decorated, just bring your luggage and move in. Only the last 100 apartments left in Platinum Star City. Whether it is a 3-bedroom and 1 living room or a 4-bedroom and 2 living room, there are surpluses. Meet the needs of every family with children. The housing prices in civilian areas vary, and the closer to the central business district, the higher the price. Wen Jiu thought that she lived alone, so buying a 2-bedroom apartment would be enough. Moreover, her requirements for the community are good security and environment. As for whether it is close to the central business district, she doesn't care much. Georgie, what are you looking at? Zikingayu suddenly came to her side. There were beads of sweat on the other's smooth forehead due to body heat, but when she got close, there was no sweat odor like ordinary boys. So Wen Jiu did not stay away from him, and he also unlocked the privacy shield on the light curtain panel. Oh my god, Georgie, are you going to buy a house? Zikingayu raised her voice, and attracted Kyoshi to come over. Plateau Star City? Kyoshi saw Wen Jiu browsing the promotional interface of this property. Jiu, if you want to buy a house, I recommend the recently opened Donghu Garden. Hearing this, Zikingayu began to joke again. Oh, Kyoshi, you know a lot. Anyway, I know more than you. Kyoshi glared at him before continuing. Plateau is on the edge of the civilian area, but the housing price is similar to that of Donghu Garden, which is closer to the inside. It's okay that the location is not good, but there have been several news reports that customers have paid, but the salesperson has delayed the delivery of the house. In fact, when Jiu had no intention of buying a house in Plateau Star City, she saw that this property had been on sale for a year, but it has not been sold out yet. Donghu Garden has just started selling the first batch of boutique houses, and now there are only a few small units left. Then I'll take a look at Donghu Garden. As he said that, Wen Jiu switched the interface to the promotional page of Donghu Garden. This Donghu Garden is not far from the Donghu Lake in the scenic area, so both the environment and public security are quite good. Moreover, the opening hours of East Lake are from 9 AM to 5 PM, so the residents will not be disturbed by the tourists. In addition, the commercial prosperity here is also quite high due to the tourists. Therefore, as soon as the East Lake Garden real estate project was put on sale, many people rushed to buy large houses. This 2-bedroom 1-living-room apartment costs more than 1.2 million star coins. Shishi, how about this price? Although Wen Jiu was curious about why Kyoshi knew so much about real estate, she did not ask anything, because the other party did not take the initiative to say it. And it happened that the other party was very knowledgeable in real estate, and could help her take a look. This price is very good, the location is good, and it is well decorated. Kyoshi asked Wen Jiu to turn on the holographic projection of the house, so that they could check the internal structure and decoration of the house. High technology is good, and you don't have to go to the site to see the house. After choosing the house you like, you can turn on the holographic projection and start the virtual house viewing directly. The projection of the virtual house viewing is 100% restored to the real situation of the house. Forging virtual projection is a violation of federal law. Moreover, before the formal delivery of the house, the customer needs to go to the site to check the real house. If they find any difference, they can report it to the relevant departments at any time. This decoration is okay, it's quite simple and generous. Zikingayu browsed it. Although his big villa is decorated very gorgeously, he can also accept this simple and slightly luxurious small apartment. Well, and this apartment faces north and south, and has good lighting. Kyoshi commented seriously, I just think the floor is a bit low. Really? I think the 9th floor is not low. Wen Jiu was not idle either. She checked the house decoration very carefully. The haze blue wall is matched with the light grey marble floor, which looks not only simple and generous, but also fresh and healing. The soft furnishings also tend to be grey, white, and blue, but the decorations use bright orange, red and gold for contrasting colors. So it doesn't look cold and gloomy, but gives people a comfortable and bright feeling. The total area of the house is 91 square meters, which is enough for her to live alone. What attracted Wen Jiu the most was the large French window in the living room. After turning on the simulated weather mode, he could fully feel the warmth of the sun pouring in from the window on a sunny day. Of course, there was another point, that is, there was a small balcony outside the kitchen. Chinese people have Chinese souls, and everyone has the soul of growing vegetables. This small balcony with plenty of sunshine is most suitable for growing some flowers and cauliflowers. I think this house is really good, and we are about to have a holiday. After you buy it, you can move in directly when the holiday comes, and you don't have to worry about being homeless. Zikingayu talked to himself, and only after he finished speaking did he realize that he seemed to have said something inappropriate. So he quickly made amends. Of course, don't worry. Sister Jiu, I especially welcome you to live in my house. There are many empty rooms in my house. If you are willing to live until we graduate, it's no problem. TSK, who wants to live in your house? Kyoshi habitually said to him, and then she wanted to say that, if she wanted to live, she would live in her house. But when the word came to her lips, she got stuck, and changed the subject abruptly. By the way, Jiu, if you buy a house, you need a guardian signature. After all, we are still minors. After hearing what Kyoshi said, Wen Jiu remembered the sad fact that he was not an adult. Guardian, she, whose soul is already in her 20s, still needs a guardian. There is no way, who makes her a child in her teens now. But when it comes to guardians, Wen Jiu thought about it, and could only find Rumen. Today's first update, the thank you list, and other content will still be placed in the chapter comments of the first update. Chapter 194 Argyuji has a mother 1. Buy a house. Rumen didn't have a lunch break at noon. After receiving the message from Wen Jiu, she went to the balcony and called him. Yes, Teacher Yu, the holiday is coming soon, and I won't be able to live in the dormitory then. And I have saved a lot of money during this period, just enough to buy a nice house. Since Wen Jiu said so, she couldn't say anything else. And she knew that Wen Jiu had signed a contract with AOS Pharmaceuticals, but she didn't know how much signing fee AOS Pharmaceuticals had given to the other party. How about this? You send me the information about the property and house you want to buy first. Rumen thought for a moment. I will help you check the details here, and I will help you sign the contract, if there is no problem. By the way, Wen Jiu, there is one more thing I want to discuss with you. Then, Rumen expressed her thoughts to Wen Jiu. She planned to apply to become Wen Jiu's official guardian, so that Wen Jiu could directly find her, if he wanted to do anything in the future, without having to worry about age and guardian issues. Wen Jiu's previously registered identity was an orphan adopted by the 3047 Academy. If she agreed to Rumen becoming her official guardian, her identity would be changed to the other party's adopted child. In other words, Wen Jiu would be happy to have a nominal mother. In fact, this idea has been brewing in Rumen's heart for a long time. On the one hand, it is because she really likes Wen Jiu as a child, and on the other hand, it is the suggestion Huang Qiumei gave her before. After becoming Wen Jiu's official guardian, they can better protect her to prevent those people from taking the opportunity to attack her. But Rumen felt that, if she went through the process to become Wen Jiu's official guardian without consent, she felt that the other party would definitely not accept it. But even if she proposed this idea to communicate with him now, she was still worried that Wen Jiu would not agree. After all, after becoming a formal guardian, she was Wen Jiu's nominal mother. Although she liked Wen Jiu very much and could completely accept the other party as her nominal child, but she didn't know whether Wen Jiu liked her or could accept this nominal mother-child relationship. Rumen rarely showed a nervous mood, and she quietly waited for Wen Jiu's answer. There was silence on the other end of the phone for a moment, and then Wen Jiu's crisp voice came. Okay, then do I need to go through the procedures for changing the guardian with you? Also, I have a contract signed by Teacher Yan as my guardian. If I change the guardian, does the contract also need to be changed? Hearing the other party's response, Rumen felt that the stone hanging in her heart finally fell steadily. Then she talked to Wen Jiu in detail about the process of changing the guardian, as well as buying a house and settling down. Yeah, okay, Teacher Yu. After communicating what should be said, Wen Jiu hung up the phone. Oh my god, did I hear it right? Zikingai made an exaggerated shocked expression. Teacher Yu is going to be your mother. Although what he said was correct, it always sounded weird. Say less. Kyoshi was speechless about Zikingai's emotional intelligence. Jiu, have you really thought about it? Wen Jiu nodded in response. She didn't have any idea about family relationships, nor did she think about looking for the original owner's biological parents. She is still young, and many things she wants to do require the signature of the guardian. It just so happens that Rumen is willing to be her formal guardian, and she doesn't hate him. What's more, Rumen has been helping her for such a long time. In all aspects, Yu Rumen is her ideal guardian. In fact, it's good for teacher Yu to be your guardian. Kyoshishi's mind is obviously much more delicate. I remember that teacher Yu seems to be almost 30, but she is a non-marriage and non-childbearing person. So you don't have to worry about her embarrassing you when she starts a family in the future, and teacher Yu is also very nice. Hearing Kyoshishi say this, Wen Jiu was even more satisfied with Rumen being his formal guardian. Damn, how come it's almost 2 o'clock? Zikingayu glanced at the time display on the wall. Let's go. Class is about to start. Hearing this, the three of them hurriedly left the supernatural power practice room and rushed to their respective classrooms. Wen Jiu's afternoon class was simulated mecha driving. Zhang Heling was temporarily suspended because of his previous job as Dionysian, so the teacher of this course was replaced. But the new teacher was not very concerned about the teaching of first-year students. Perhaps he thought that this course would not be tested in the final exam anyway, so he only let them practice driving independently every time in class. Some students also proposed to learn new content, but the teacher only said that they, the first-year students, only needed to master simulated driving first, and there was no need to learn other content. Wen Jiu actually wanted to learn to actually drive a mecha, but this could only be learned by 3rd graders and above, so she could only practice simulated driving out of boredom. But it was good to practice more, because every simulated driving practice would simulate fighting with different interstellar alien beasts. Although it was just a simulated battle, it was also good to master more knowledge. Get out of class dismissed. The teacher opened each cockpit impatiently. Seeing his attitude, the students all left the hatches one after another, not even bothering to say goodbye, and ran out of the classroom. Wen Jiu was no exception. She was walking out with a crowd, but was stopped by the teacher. Wen Jiu, wait a minute. Gao Green's grey eyes were cold, and he carefully looked at the little girl in front of him. The other party looked ignorant and naive, and did not look like a highly talented dual system psychic at all. But the report of the detection instrument will never be wrong. I heard that you are looking for a formal guardian. Hearing this, Wen Jiu immediately became alert. She had just discussed this matter with Yu Rumen at noon. The teacher in front of her was not familiar with her at all, and Yu Rumen was not the kind of person who liked to publicize. So where did this person get the news? Well, what does this have to do with you, teacher? Wen Jiu tilted his head, and the 3 words natural were written all over his face. The teacher is concerned about you. Gore Green narrowed his eyes, always feeling that the little girl in front of him was not as easy to fool as she looked. Don't trust others wrongly, because you desire family affection. He said this without any context. If it was a really young child, he would definitely have some doubts about Rumen. But Wen Jiu's mind had long been mature. She was essentially an adult in her 20s, so she would not be confused by Gore Green's words at all. What's more, a teacher who often helps and cares about herself, and a person who has no other contact except class. Anyone with a little bit of brains would not be provoked by them. Hey, I know that woman has helped you a lot, Gore Green said to himself, but don't you think about you, an orphan with nothing. Why would she care about you so much? To put it bluntly, it's because you are talented, and I can't bear to see you being kept in the dark, so I said this. Today's second update. Thank you all for your support and love. 030. Chapter 195. Argyuji has a mother too. Before you are bound by a relationship, the teacher suggests that you think about it more. You should know that once that woman becomes your official guardian, it will be difficult for you to break away from this relationship. Gao Green's tone sounded very sincere, as if he was really a person who was worried that Wen Jiu would be deceived, and therefore gave advice. However, after he finished speaking, Wen Jiu did not speak to reply to his meaning. The other party just tilted his head and blinked continuously, looking like he understood and didn't understand. Alas, I know you will definitely not listen to what I say, Gao Green said, and clicked on his light screen panel, and found a video to play. Wen Jiu watched the video play obediently, but as she expected, Yu Rumen's figure appeared on the screen. The other party was standing in an open space and saying something. At first, the voice was a little unclear, but it became clear after a few seconds. Yes, Wen Jiu has agreed to establish a family relationship with me. After the formalities are successfully completed, you can start to implement your plan. Don't worry, I will definitely get it done. The child trusts me very much, so I think your plan should go smoothly. No matter who hears these words, they will doubt Rumen. Because judging from the content of the video, it seems that Rumen and Wen Jiu established a family relationship for some purpose. While playing the video, Gao Green observed Wen Jiu's reaction calmly, and the other party's performance was consistent with his expectations. She was curious at first, then at a loss, and finally her eyes became cold and red. Wen Jiu's reaction made Gao Green very satisfied. A little orphan who grew up alone picking up garbage must be very eager for family affection. If someone treats her a little better, she will believe in the other party wholeheartedly. But as long as she knows that the so-called kindness to her is actually a scam, then a poor child like her will definitely hate the other party fiercely and may even find an opportunity to retaliate. Poor child, Gao Green said with pity, but his eyes were not full of emotion. You should understand now. Wen Jiu just lowered her head in silence, but her clenched fists revealed her sadness at the moment. Alas, the teacher knows that you can't accept it for a while, so why don't you go back and digest it first? If you need any help, you can come to me. Gao Green comforted Wen Jiu for a while, and only sent him out of the classroom when he said he wanted to go back and calm down. After he left, Gao Green quickly sent a message. Completed. Wen Jiu's eyes were red, and she pursed her lips, with a tearful expression on her face. And she kept this look all the way to the cafeteria, and anyone who saw her would think she had suffered a great injustice. It was not until she entered the kitchen of window 18 that she pursed her lips tightly, and then curled them up, and then chuckled. Completely different from the previous aggrieved puppy look, her eyes were full of mockery. Wen Jiu just pretended to be a pitiful little girl who was deceived and heartbroken, just like the aggrieved look of Gao when she was beaten and cried by herself. She first recalled the video she had just watched, and then opened the light screen panel to send a message to Rumen. Judging from the video just now, the shooting location should be downstairs of the teacher's office building of the college. Rumen raised one hand and used the ZHI ring to make a phone call, and the other hand was holding a paper bag. The photographer seemed to be hiding in a corner not far away, but it was not long after she promised Rumen that it was time for class. Now that the end of the semester is approaching, students will rush to the training ground in advance, even if they don't have classes, so this video is probably not taken by students. So from this point of view, the identity of the photographer should be a teacher or other staff. Wen Jiu recalled carefully, and she sent all the details and analysis conclusions she thought of to Rumen one by one. In addition to the conclusions that can be obtained in the video, she also sent all the words said by the substitute teacher Gao Green word for word. Rumen seemed to be still busy and did not reply to her message immediately. So after Wen Jiu finished all this, she began to stir the pickled vegetables she had made. The pickled radish she had pickled earlier was ready to be tasted, so she used chopsticks to pick up a small bowl to taste. The pickled white radish looked crystal clear and had a transparent luster. It tasted crisp and tender, and the sour taste kept spreading in the mouth. Just a small piece of pickled white radish was enough to whet one's appetite. The color of the cherry radish was even more pink, and it tasted fresh and delicious with a hint of fruity sweetness. Okay, Sister Jiu, you actually stole food. Gao pushed the door open and saw Wen Jiu tasting the pickled radish at a glance. Do you want to eat? Wen Jiu handed the bowl over generously and took a pair of chopsticks for the other party again. Gao picked up a piece of white radish curiously. It tasted crisp and very sweet and sour. After tasting it carefully, there was a hint of spiciness spreading on the tip of the tongue. Do you have rice, Jiu? I suddenly feel so hungry. He wasn't that hungry at first. After all, he had a big bowl of glutinous rice balls and a whole plate of dumplings at noon. But now, after eating a small piece of radish, he suddenly felt that his stomach was so empty, and he wanted to dig 2 bowls of rice to satisfy himself. No, if you want to eat, go and steam it yourself. Wen Jiu glanced at him and began to clean up the kitchen. She was going to make the canteen meal quickly and start the live broadcast. On the other side, how is the matter going? Lee Kinson was dealing with the affairs on the electronic panel. She heard the sound of Yu Ruman's high heels coming in, and she continued to work without raising her head. It went very smoothly. Yu Ruman curled her red lips. The fish has taken the bait. TSK, I didn't expect they had so many pawns. Lee Kinson pinched her eyebrows with one hand, but it's normal. After all, we haven't handed in any seedlings for a long time. Yu Ruman listened to her words while browsing the message sent by Wen Jiu. Oh, these people are really impatient. They are afraid that we will get ahead of them and tie Wen Jiu, a good seedling, to their side. It's so funny. Hearing her say this, Lee Kinson said seriously, you should complete the procedures as soon as possible to avoid unnecessary trouble. Just relying on them, you want to intercept me? Don't you see how capable you are? Yu Ruman couldn't help rolling her eyes. A bunch of self-righteous trash. I don't know when Dean Huan will take action. It's too early. Removing those pawns now will only add suspicion to the higher-ups. It's better to keep these idiots for us to have fun. A hint of mockery flashed in Lee Kinson's eyes. Don't worry, I'll go to the administration bureau to apply for guardianship procedures now. Yu Ruman shook her curly hair in a chic manner and walked towards the door. Remember to report to Dean Huan. Wen Jiu's case is not a small matter. Lee Kinson's voice came at the moment she was about to step out of the door, and she just raised her right hand and made an OK gesture. Today's third update 030. Chapter 196 Argyuji has a mother 3. Wen Jiu was busy all night again. After the evening business was closed, she also gave her students a cooking class. Because most of the students' cooking skills have improved during this period, she taught them how to make glutinous rice balls and dumplings tonight. There were no major problems with the 2 steps of mixing the filling and kneading the dough. Only a few students did not master the kneading skills well, which led to several times of making the dough before they succeeded. But when it came to making glutinous rice balls and dumplings later, every student's dumplings were ugly. Either the filling was too much, so that the filling was exposed after pinching, or the pinching technique was wrong. Each glutinous rice ball and dumpling was different in size and unique in shape. Wen Jiu demonstrated many times how to pinch glutinous rice balls and dumplings, but their hands seemed to be out of control, and they couldn't pinch them correctly. They couldn't even make the simplest round glutinous rice balls, and some even pinched the round glutinous rice balls into triangles, which Wen Jiu admired very much. I don't understand why their hands can pinch triangles, squares, and even prisms, but they can't pinch round glutinous rice balls and ingot dumplings. Wen Jiu lay in bed and couldn't fall asleep. She really couldn't figure it out. These students are clumsy, but they can make any shape. But they are clever, but they can't even make the simplest round glutinous rice balls. Hey, Jiu, don't ask too much of them. Kyoshi comforted her softly. Let them practice more. They will definitely be able to successfully make perfect glutinous rice balls and dumplings. Hearing this, Wen Jiu felt that her requirements were indeed too high. After all, these students had never made pastries before, and although some had eaten dumplings, no one had made them personally. Thinking of this, she felt a lot more relaxed. Just then, Yu Ruman sent her a message, and she clicked it to see. 3047 Yu Ruman, Wen Jiu, I have received your message. Thank you for your trust in me. 3047 Yu Ruman, I have submitted the materials for applying for your formal guardian to the relevant departments, and I think the house you like is very good. You can buy it after the procedures on my side are completed. This news made Wen Jiu even happier. After she politely replied to Yu Ruman, she began to browse local information. Although she had already decided to buy a house in Donghu Garden, she thought about it again when the canteen was open at night. After the final exams, 3047 College will have a holiday for more than a month, which means that she will lose at least 1 month of canteen income. Although she can still make money through live broadcasts and fortune-telling stalls, she always feels that something is missing in her heart without an income. Wen Jiu remembered that Donghu Garden was not far from the East Lake in the scenic area. There must be a lot of people in places like scenic spots during holidays. She wanted to find out if there were any shops and stalls in Donghu. It would be best if there were storefronts for rent, so that she could open a shop directly. If not, she could just set up a stall to sell some snacks. and she didn't have anything to do during the vacation. 3047 College did not issue holiday homework to students, so when Jiu thought about doing some small business to make money. Hey, Jiu, why don't you go to the Star Network World to set up a stall tonight? Kyoshi saw Wen Jiu lying on the bed and sliding the light curtain panel, which made her very curious. It was only 11 o'clock in the evening. According to the usual practice, whenever Wen Jiu returned to the dormitory early, he would go to the Star Network World to set up a stall for more than an hour. But he did not go to the Star Network World to set up a stall tonight. Instead, he lay on the bed and played with the light screen panel. Kyoshi had planned to go to the training ground with Zeke and Gayu for extra training, but when they finished business and rushed to the training ground, they found that the supernatural power practice room they wanted to go to was full. But they didn't want to go to other practice rooms, so they simply went back to their dormitories to have a good rest. I'll take a rest tonight. When Jiu remembered that he had not removed the privacy shielding of the light screen panel. If you are free, would you like to help me check it out? I want to rent a storefront in Donghu. After hearing her say this, Kyoshi climbed onto Wen Jiu's small bed and squeezed together with him to browse the information. I remember that Donghu is a popular scenic spot, so there shouldn't be too many storefronts for rent. Kyoshi patiently watched Wen Jiu search for information about storefronts for rent. Although this storefront is relatively large, its location is too bad. Yeah, I think so too. When Jiu looked at the environmental map of the storefront, the light is not good, and it is at the end of the commercial street. What do you think of this one? Although it is in the middle of the commercial street, the environment is quite good. Kyoshi pointed to the display map of another storefront. When Jiu looked in the direction of her fingertips and nodded in agreement, this one is good. Although the area is a little small, the decoration is quite good. And it is quite clean and tidy. It can be seen that the original owner cherishes this storefront very much. As he said, when Jiu clicked in to check the detailed information, the rent is paid every 3 months, and a total of 90,000 star coins are required including the deposit. This price is actually more expensive than ordinary storefronts outside. After all, the monthly rent of storefronts in ordinary commercial streets in civilian areas is only about 10,000 star coins. This storefront not only requires a one-time payment of 3 months rent, but also a security deposit to the landlord. I think this price is okay. After renting it, you don't have to redecorate it yourself. There are tables, chairs, pots, pans, and everything else. When Jiu was quite satisfied with this storefront. After browsing and comparing the rental pages of several other storefronts with Kyoshi, they decided on this one. But it was useless for them to decide unilaterally. They had to contact the landlord to discuss the details. When Jiu found the landlord's contact information from the detailed information, after she sent a friend request, the other party did not accept it immediately. It was probably because it was too late and the other party had gone to bed. After finishing these, they were not sleepy, so the two girls crowded together and chatted about this and that. Jiu, can I live in your house after you buy a house? After saying this, Kyoshi stared at the ceiling intently, as if she was very nervous to get Wen Jiu's answer. Of course, Wen Jiu always felt that Kyoshi was a little depressed these days, and the closer it was to the end of the semester, the worse her mood became. That's great. Kyoshi breathed a sigh of relief. Don't worry, I won't live here for free. Can I pay you the rent? Why should I charge you rent? When Jiu pretended not to notice the other party's abnormality. If I have to charge, it should be from Zeke and Gayu, not to mention that I won't agree to let him live in my house. The two chatted with each other and fell asleep unknowingly. Today's first update. Thank you all for your love and support. 030. Book Friends Group. 810,926,207. Welcome to join the chat. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197, Encounter at the Training Ground 1. The next morning, when Wen Jiu woke up, there was no one around her. She popped her head out of the bed and looked around the dormitory in a daze, and then she found a note on her bedside table. Asterisk, I'm going to the training ground. I'll go to the cafeteria early at noon. It seems that Kyoshi went to practice again. In fact, when Wen Jiu first met her, she didn't realize that she was not only able to endure hardships and work with her in the cafeteria, but also very active in learning. After all, from the outside, Kyoshi has fair skin, delicate features, and long black hair as smooth as silk. No matter how you look at it, she looks like a spoiled little princess. Wen Jiu thought for a while with her head down, and then got out of the bed to wash and pack. She only had one fighting class this morning, so she quickly washed and took a bottle of nutrient solution sent by Zhu Wangming and walked and drank it while walking to the training ground. The training ground is much more lively now than before. Even if the practice room is full, there are still many students doing physical training at obstacles without registration and queuing. Wen Jiu walked slowly towards the class location notified by the course. The training ground was bustling with students doing training everywhere. She walked and observed the surroundings, and finally found a place she had been curious about for a long time. The mecha use practice ground. From a distance, it was empty over there. There were only 2 lonely mechas placed there, which seemed to be very old. Not as bright and beautiful as what she saw when she was looking up information in the library. The 2 old mechas were quite simple in shape, like a few mechanical arms with a man cabin. The paint on their outer layer was a little peeled off, and they didn't look as tall as described in the information. But this did not prevent Wen Jiu from being curious about the mechas. She stopped where she was and continued to look over there, hoping to see more. Mainly because the college stipulated that students below the 3rd grade were not allowed to enter the mecha use practice ground, so she could only watch from a distance. Student Wen, are you interested in mecha? Green appeared out of nowhere. He was wearing a brand new long windbreaker and high boots. His beard was shaved clean, leaving only some green stubble. He looked a few years younger. At least if Wen Jiu didn't look at his face and only looked at his appearance, he would think he was just 30. Good morning, Teacher Green. Wen Jiu held the empty potion bottle in his hand tightly. I'm a little interested, but I'm too young now to learn to actually drive a mecha. Green's green eyes glanced down, and his sight stayed on the empty potion bottle in Wen Jiu's hand. The nutrient solution that student Wen drinks seems to be different from the one issued by the academy. Oh, this one? Wen Jiu pretended to be nothing and took it up and shook it. I bought it myself outside. Can you show it to the teacher? I don't think this bottle is produced by a regular pharmaceutical company. Green put on a friendly smile. What the hell is a regular? What can be irregular in the hospital? Aren't you afraid that Zhu Wangming will beat you up if he finds out? Wen Jiu complained silently in his heart, but on the surface he still obediently handed the potion bottle forward. Just when Green was about to take the potion bottle, Wen Jiu suddenly let go, and the transparent potion bottle instantly fell to the ground and shattered. Oops, my hand slipped. Wen Jiu seemed to be startled by the broken bottle and jumped up like a frightened little rabbit in the picture. Green always felt that she did it on purpose, but he couldn't blame her for such a small thing. So he could only say stiffly, it's okay, may you be safe every year. By the way, Wen Jiu, if you are interested in mechas, would you like to add me as a contact? During the holidays, the teacher may open a cram school to teach children of your age to learn actual mecha driving. Hearing this, Wen Jiu first rolled his eyes and thought for a moment, then smiled and said, I'm sorry, Teacher Green. I remember that it seems to be illegal to open a cram school privately during the holidays. Green was thinking about how to lure Wen Jiu into the trap, but the other party's words choked him speechless. Ha ha, the teacher was just joking. His voice trembled when he said this. Wen Jiu only pretended to be innocent, but in his heart he was wondering when this teacher would get angry with him. People with bad tempers should not pretend to be gentle. She is young and has no problems with her IQ and EQ. She has taken classes from this teacher several times before. How can she not know the other party's true temper? I don't know what's wrong with this teacher recently. He suddenly started to show kindness to her and tried to sow discord between her and Yuruman. Could it be that this man has taken a fancy to her and wants to be her nominal father? Thinking of this, when Jiu's eyes revealed a trace of disgust, Teacher Green, if you have nothing else to do, I will leave first. My class is about to start. Wait a minute, you. Go Green stretched out his hand and tried to hold Wen Jiu to stop her from leaving. But before he finished speaking, he was suppressed by another louder voice. Wen Jiu, why are you still here? Aren't you afraid that you will be beaten by Teacher Yu if you are late? Zikingayu suddenly appeared and patted Wen Jiu's shoulder with an anxious expression on her face. Let's go. Class will start in 10 minutes. Sorry, Teacher Green, we are in a hurry to go to class, so we have to leave first. He threw down these words and put his arm around Wen Jiu's shoulder and walked forward quickly, completely ignoring Go Green who was standing there with a dark face. Only after they had walked for a while did Zikingayu let go of her hand and asked, why did Teacher Green look for you? His forced smile gave me goosebumps. I don't know, maybe he had a seizure. When Jiu regained his calm expression, why did you hide under the tree for so long and didn't come to help me? She had already caught a glimpse of Zikingayu hiding behind the banyan tree not far away, but she still had to deal with Go Green, so she could only pretend that she didn't see it. Sister Jiu, what you said, I thought at first that Teacher Green wanted to talk to you about something, but then I saw that he wanted to pull you or something, so I hurried over to rescue you. Zikingayu muttered to herself for a long time, fearing that Wen Jiu had misunderstood her. The two walked all the way to the open space where today's fighting class was held, only to see Yuruman waiting there early, and most of the students were also present. Thank you. Zikingayu was about to say, run quickly to gather together, when he was stunned by Wen Jiu's sudden thanks. Jiu didn't mean to be mean to him today. He pursed his lips with joy, trying not to laugh out loud. The next second, Wen Jiu said again, are you stupid? Run quickly to gather together. Sure enough, it was the Jiu he was familiar with. Today's second update. Thanks again to every little angel for their support. 030. Chapter 198, Encounter at the Training Ground 2. Today's fighting class ends here. I hope everyone can do more self-training in their free time after returning home. Yuruman looked tall and slender in her slim fighting suit. Her high ponytail and red lips made her look even more cool. The final exam is coming soon. Students, don't think about being lazy. Whether you study hard and train well in normal times will be revealed during the exam. After saying these encouraging words, she officially announced the end of class. Then Jiu, I'll leave first. Zikingayu looked at Wen Jiu and then at Yuruman. He thought Wen Jiu was going to go to the cafeteria with him, but the other party told him to go first. But thinking about it, Wen Jiu is about to have Yuruman become a mother, so it would be good to cultivate more feelings with his future mother. So Zikingayu bowed to Yuruman very solemnly. Aunt Yu, our Jiu is in your hands. Who are you calling auntie? Yuruman stepped on his shoes lightly. You can call me teacher or sister, but if you dare to call me auntie again, I will beat you. Hearing her words, Zikingayu stuck out his tongue and said, my mother said that you should call other people's mothers auntie. But he was afraid that he would really be beaten, so he left here quickly after explaining. Seeing Zikingayu running away, Yuruman chuckled and said, let me make it clear first, you don't have to really call me mom. You don't have to really treat me as a daughter. Wen Jiu also laughed out loud. Neither of them thought about really developing a mother-daughter relationship, and Wen Jiu knew that Yuruman did not ask to be her official guardian because of her overflowing maternal love. But no matter what the other party's real purpose was, she believed that Yuruman would not harm her. The process of changing the guardian is almost done. Now we just need you and I to go to the administration bureau to handle the final formalities. Yuruman glanced around and leaned over to whisper in Wen Jiu's ear. I see that you have classes in the afternoon, so let's go to handle the formalities during lunchtime. If we have enough time, we can go to Donghu Garden to buy a house. Mainly because Wen Jiu was an orphan who did not have a permanent residence at first, it was very simple for Rumen to handle the adoption procedures for her at 3047 college, and she did not need to be there in person. But now we have to handle the formal guardian procedures, which means that Rumen will establish a family relationship with Wen Jiu under federal law, and the 3047 college that adopted Wen Jiu will also be changed to Rumen herself. This formal procedure requires both parties to sign and stamp, so Rumen will take Wen Jiu to the Household Registration Administration Bureau. Well, let's go. Wen Jiu immediately agreed, and at the same time, opened the light screen panel to send a message to their 3-person group. I will go out with teacher Yu to handle the formalities at noon, so you two will have to work hard. The glutinous rice balls and dumplings are in the freezer. Do I need to tell you how to cook them again? No, Georgie, just go with peace of mind. After she explained the canteen matters to Zeke and Gaiwan Kaioshishi, she opened the Bakaliv broadcast and announced that it would be suspended at noon. Speaking of Bakaliv broadcast, Lulu sent her a message yesterday telling her that the second round of park would start in the next 2 days. However, Wen Jiu also had a plan for the next live broadcast. She planned to collect with fans again to see if there were any ingredients they thought were unpalatable. The video she posted on Zingbo before had a good number of hits. In addition to the existing fans, this bitter melon stuffed with meat video also brought her a lot of new fans. So she planned to continue the most unpalatable ingredients in history series first. Have you dealt with your affairs? If you have, we will set off. Rumen threw the pendant on the bracelet to the ground, and a black and red heavy motorcycle appeared instantly. She first picked up a small red helmet and put it on Wen Jiu, and then took another black helmet with cat ears and put it on herself. Then she lifted her long legs and rode on neatly. Come on, get on the bike. Wen Jiu didn't expect Rumen's bike to be so wild, and she didn't even see how this heavy motorcycle was transformed. But now they were rushing to the Household Registration Administration, so Wen Jiu didn't ask any more questions and sat on the back seat directly. Seeing that she was sitting steadily, Rumen drove the motorcycle out of the training ground. At first, Wen Jiu still had the mind to chat with Rumen because the speed on campus should not be too high, so the speed of the motorcycle was very slow. It was not until Rumen drove the motorcycle out of the school gate and flew into the air that she instantly increased the horsepower and rushed forward, allowing Wen Jiu to feel what it meant to be fast. Fortunately, he was wearing a protective helmet, otherwise Wen Jiu felt that he would be blown unconscious if he sat on this motorcycle. How is it? My motorcycle is pretty good, isn't it? Rumen slowly stopped the motorcycle on the ground. Seeing that Wen Jiu seemed not to be used to high-speed driving, she carried him off the motorcycle. I was driving so fast because I was in a hurry. I usually drive very slowly for safety. Hearing Rumen's words, Wen Jiu, who had just taken off his helmet, felt his mouth twitch. She didn't believe the other party's nonsense. As soon as she saw Rumen's appearance, she knew that the other party must have driven at high speed like this. Are you okay? Rumen pressed another position on the bracelet, and the heavy motorcycle instantly turned into a ray of light and returned to her bracelet and turned back into a pendant. I'm okay. Wen Jiu stood on the ground and calmed down. Let's go. Didn't you say to go through the procedures? Seeing that she was indeed fine, Rumen took her little hand and walked towards the entrance registration office of the building. Because most of the previous procedures had been completed, it didn't take them long to complete the final procedures. When Wen Jiu and Rumen walked out of the building, their teacher-student relationship became a guardian-ward relationship. In other words, she really got a mother. Finally done, Rumen stood at the door and stretched. It's almost 12 o'clock now. If you're hungry, let's go eat first. If you're not hungry, let's go by your house. Wen Jiu thought about the quality of the restaurants outside and decisively chose to buy a house first. Anyway, she was not hungry now. Just thinking about the fact that she could get a house made her full of energy. Come in the car, I'll drive slower this time. Rumen summoned the motorcycle again, so Wen Jiu put on his helmet and climbed onto the back seat very consciously. In fact, Yu-Ruman likes the thrill of driving at high speed, so she always drives at the maximum speed limit. But considering that Wen Jiu didn't seem to be used to this speed, she rarely slowed down the speed and took Wen Jiu to shuttle between high-rise buildings. Today's third update give you a heart 030. Chapter 199 New House 1. This is the apartment. If you have any idea, Ms. Yu, you'd better decide as soon as possible. Our property is selling very well now. There are only a few dozen of the first batch of boutique apartments left. The sales lady took them around the house very responsibly and enthusiastically explained the facilities of Donghu Garden to them. In addition to turning on the heating for each household during the cold season, there are also free gyms and swimming pools in the community. Of course, the children's study space is also equipped. Wen Jiu walked around first and then sat down on the off-white leather sofa. She touched it casually and felt that the leather texture of the sofa was good. She had also seen other furniture decorations. Although the workmanship was not particularly exquisite and gorgeous, the quality was still very good for ordinary home furnishings. Even the soft pillows used as back cushions on the sofa felt furry, and the bright orange combination was very eye-catching. In general, it was really a good deal to buy this 2-bedroom house for more than 1.2 million star coins. Besides the house itself being a great value for money, Wen Jiu and her friends also found that the green environment here was also very good when they strolled around the community. Not far from Donghu Garden is a Donghu scenic area. From the French windows of the house selected by Wen Jiu, you can see the beautiful and pleasant natural scenery. Let's take this one. Wen Jiu leaned on the soft pillow on the sofa, wishing that he could move in right now. Okay, miss. Seeing her speak, the sales lady quickly made a gesture of invitation to Yu-Ruman. Ms. Yu, have you made up your mind? If you have made up your mind, we can go to the property office to sign the contract now. Yu-Ruman had of course made up her mind. This house was bought by Wen Jiu, not her. And if Wen Jiu hadn't said that he would be happier if he had a property, she would have arranged for him to live in her house. So they followed the sales lady down the elevator and went straight to the property office to handle the formalities. Because Wen Jiu was a minor and couldn't buy a house by herself, Yu-Ruman helped her go through the process. If you buy a house by loan installment, you can't fill in a minor as the owner. But Wen Jiu paid in full for the house, so only her name could be filled in the final property certificate. Thank you for your trust in us. The electronic property certificate will be updated in your personal details within 3 days. You can check it by opening your Xinguang account. Now all kinds of information are automatically recorded in the Xinguang account. Whether it is the property certificate of Wen Jiu's house purchase or the family relationship certificate with Yu-Ruman, they can all be checked in the Xinguang account. After they completed the formalities, they left the property office, and the sales lady took them back to the door of the house that Wen Jiu bought. Ours is a smart electronic lock. Please enter your biometric information here. In the future, you can just scan your fingerprint and iris when you go home. With the help of the sales lady, Wen Jiu successfully entered her biometric information. But she also set an electronic password at the same time. In case Kyoshi really wants to live with her in the future, it will be more convenient to enter the electronic password. Then the sales lady asked her to enter the Donghu Garden map on the light curtain panel. After binding the house and the owner's information, she can handle it here in the future, whether she pays water and electricity bills or needs to find the property when there is a problem. After finishing these things, the sales lady left, leaving only Wen Jiu and Yu-Ruman standing in front of the door. Do you want to go in and take a look, or go back to the college? Yu-Ruman asked softly, or do you want to go to East Lake for a stroll? It's just 1 o'clock now, and I remember your pharmacy class in the afternoon is at 2:30. Wen Jiu thought for a moment, first opened the door and went in to look around, and then said, I want to go to East Lake to take a look. I plan to rent a storefront during the holidays. She felt that there was nothing to hide from Yu-Ruman about this matter. After all, the two of them were now tied together at the legal level. And if Yu-Ruman didn't show up, she was underage and couldn't rent a storefront by herself. Then let's go. Ruman helped her close the door. Even if you don't work later, you can still earn dividends from AOS Pharmaceuticals. Why are you still thinking about renting a storefront to do business? In Ruman's opinion, students should be free and open to play during the holidays. I'm free anyway, so I might as well try to start a small business. Wen Jiu smoothed her hair to cover the exposed tips of her ears. Fortunately, she had a lot of hair. When her hair was down, as long as it was not blown by the wind, her pointed ears could be hidden inside and not be seen by others. It's okay for her teeth to be a little longer and sharper. They can be regarded as longer canine teeth. But her ears were too unique, so when Jiu was thinking about whether to buy earmuffs to keep warm and cover them up, she didn't care about the surprised looks when others saw her ears, but occasionally she would encounter curious people asking about it, and she was too lazy to explain it over and over again, so she thought about covering it up. Ruman, who was standing next to her, saw the other party's actions, and remembered that she had something she didn't give to Wen Jiu. I forgot to give you this. Ruman stretched out her hand. In her palm was a pair of earrings. The silver surface glowed with a faint luster. Wen Jiu was a little confused about the earrings, and she didn't quite understand what Ruman meant. Come. Ruman saw through her confusion and pulled her in front of her. Then she lifted Wen Jiu's hair and tucked it behind her ear and picked up an earring and fiddled with it on her ear. After a while, Ruman took out a small mirror and said, "Are you satisfied?" Wen Jiu looked in the mirror and found that the earring was worn on her pointed ears. The hollow but dense silver wires perfectly concealed her naturally pointed ears, and it looked like they became pointed because of the decorations. In addition to the part that was tightly worn on the pointed ears, there was only a curved and slender silver wire that fixed it down to the earlobe, and there was a small silver rose blooming at the very end. At this glance, she understood that Ruman should have asked someone to customize this pair of earrings to help her cover up the existence of her pointed ears. Thank you, Teacher Yu. Wen Jiu picked up another earring and put it on herself. I was still struggling whether to buy an earmuff. It must be said that Ruman's act of giving her earrings really surprised and touched her, because she never expected that the other party would be so thoughtful. Why are you polite to me, and you gave me so much food for free before? Seeing that the other party was very satisfied, Ruman was also very happy in her heart. Putting aside the organization's plan, she really likes this little friend Wen Jiu. The two left the East Lake Garden while talking and laughing, and then went straight to the East Lake Scenic Area. Today's first update: please vote for me, little angels. The list has been revised recently, and some votes are needed for support. Backvote. Chapter 200 New House 2. After arriving at the scenic spot, Ruman first bought 2 tickets, and then pulled Wen Jiu into the gate. When buying the ticket, Wen Jiu felt for the first time that being shorter was good. For example, when she bought the ticket for this scenic spot, she could enjoy the child ticket price because her height was just 2 centimeters short of 1.5 meters. If it were Kyoshi, she would definitely have to buy the full price ticket. The scenery here is really good. It's very suitable for a lake cruise during vacation. Ruman and Wen Jiu walked along the main road while observing the surroundings, and then they found that the East Lake was much larger than they imagined. Although it was called a scenic spot, Wen Jiu felt that it was more like a large park, and in order to create a quiet and comfortable atmosphere, tourists were prohibited from using vehicles in the scenic spot. The only means of transportation they could see was the scenic spot sightseeing bus driving slowly on the main road, but most tourists chose to walk like them. The blue lake surface was sparkling, and it was difficult to see the edge at a glance. Occasionally, a few small boats float on the lake, and the breeze from time to time makes the leaves rustle, giving people a warm and comfortable feeling. Quiet waterfowl live in the green land by the lake, and tourists who come to visit stand not far away to admire them. They are very conscious and do not disturb or feed them. The main road into the scenic area is around the huge East Lake, but you can see the branch road leading to the commercial street after walking for a while. Although Wen Jiu likes the quiet and beautiful atmosphere of the East Lake Scenic Area very much because it makes her feel like she has returned to the modern world, but she knows very well that she is here to find a storefront to do business. So she pulls Yuruman to turn to the branch road and walks towards the commercial street. Unlike the tranquility of the East Lake, the closer you are to the commercial street, the more you can feel the fireworks of the world. It is just after lunchtime, and many tourists are still shopping in the commercial street. The voices of enthusiastic vendors soliciting customers are heard one after another. There are all kinds of shops in the long street, but most of them are souvenir shops. There were also some small restaurants among them, but Wen Jiu and Yuruman lost their appetite just by looking at the menu displayed at the door. I think if you open a store here, you will definitely make a lot of money, Yuruman said as she walked, and the beginning of the holiday means the arrival of the peak season for the scenic spot, so doing business is indeed a good choice. Wen Jiu nodded and pointed to a place not far away and said, "That store is the one I saw on Star Network." Hearing this, Yuruman looked in the direction she pointed. "I saw a small store with a wooden sign hanging on it with its door closed. From the sign, it can be seen that this is a restaurant that mainly sells food. I added the owner's Star Network account, but the other party has not yet accepted my friend request." When Jiu walked to the front of the store and looked inside, "I wonder if it has been rented out." It should not have been rented out, Yuruman thought for a while and said, "The information of rented stores and sold houses will be automatically removed." When Jiu was thinking about whether to go to other storefronts that were being rented out, and suddenly heard a shrill female voice from the side. "Are you here to look for Lao Chu?" She and Yuruman looked over and saw a middle-aged woman standing at the door of the shop next door. She was bloated and wore a long green dress with brown classic aunt curly hair. Her shrewd eyes kept looking at Wen Jiu and Yuruman, and she was holding a dried fruit in her thick red lips. "Hello, sister. I saw this storefront on the Star Network for rent. I want to ask if you know the owner of this store?" Yuruman took Wen Jiu behind her and took the initiative to chat with the woman who suddenly appeared. After all, she was a dean of teaching in the college, and she was quite skilled in making conversation. Not long after chatting, she and Wen Jiu learned about the owner and the store. Although this place is claimed to be the commercial street of the East Lake scenic area, in fact, many people live here for a long time to facilitate business and opening stores, so over time they became familiar neighbors. And this Shizuju opened here a long time ago, and the owner is a very kind old grandfather. He and his grandson depended on each other for survival, and he raised his grandson with this shop. Although his cooking skills were not very good, the price was cheap and the environment was clean, so many tourists came here to eat. In general, they lived a very good life. Moreover, his grandson was very smart since he was a child, and when he grew up and went to school, he was tested to have a very high talent, which made the grandfather very happy. At that time, their neighbors sent gifts to celebrate. But the good times did not last long. After a few years, there was suddenly news that the little grandson had killed someone in the college, and it was claimed that he had fled for fear of crime. To be honest, we don't believe that Xiaochu would do such a thing. Sister Chen sighed. When the accident first happened, there were so many people coming to Laochu to inquire about the news. It was only in the past 2 years that they gradually died down. So when I saw you looking at the door just now, I thought you were also here to inquire about Xiaochu's news. Sister Chen talked to herself for a long time, and only when Jiu asked about Laochu's current situation did she return to the topic and said, "Laochu's health is getting worse day by day. He has to go to the hospital every 10 days or half a month. He had chest pain again 2 days ago, and it was my families who took him to the hospital. Auntie, can you tell us which hospital Grandpa Chu is receiving treatment? My mom and I want to visit him." When Jiu smiled obediently, "Mom, let's go to the hospital to accompany Grandpa Chu." When Jiu's calling of mom almost gave Yuruman goosebumps, but she still cooperated without changing her expression. "Okay, baby, it just so happens that mom can talk to Grandpa Chu in person." Hearing Yuruman say this, Sister Chen sighed again. "Old Chu is in the 3047 hospital. It's a good idea for you to rent this store. Old Chu is in poor health now and has no energy to take care of it. He has also spent almost all his savings from his early years. If I had the rent, at least life would be better." Then they listened to Sister Chen chatting about family matters for a while and did not leave Donghu Commercial Street until 2 o'clock. You can ask Zhu Wangming for details about Old Jiu. Yu Ruman pulled Wen Jiu and walked quickly towards the exit. Your nutrient solution should be almost finished, right? It's just right to go to him to replenish it. Yu Ruman said this quite naturally, as if she regarded Zhu Wangming as a machine that provides free nutrient solution. Okay, teacher Yu. Wen Jiu carefully recalled the scene when she talked with Sister Chen just now. She seemed to remember that when Sister Chen mentioned Xiaochu, Yu Ruman's body stiffened for a moment. Could it be that Xiaochu was once a student of 3047 College? Today's second update. Thank you for the support of every little angel 030. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.